Well, hello everyone. What a pleasant surprise to see all of you here today on the Orbital platform. What are all y'all doing over here today? Kind of just hanging out with the little. This has nothing in it. Hey folks, GoldenNova here, Lore Laureate, explaining expert, coming at you from the Orbital platform 24/7, bringing you that good dueling goodness, except when we're not. But today we are doing that with some more custom cards. Day 2 of Custom Card Weekend. It's the real, not fake. I'm a simple man. I see DeVilho on stream. Thumbnail, I click it. Well, you will not be disappointed because I was looking through today's customs, getting them set up. I saw that the Angry Pickle was involved, and like, that's gotta go in the thumbnail. I gotta have me being chased by the big Angry Pickle. Green salutations, and by choice, inebriations, humanoid. Well, good I guess technically afternoon for me. It could be for anyone else. Today, yeah, so we've got about 3-ish hours of stream today. We've got about 7 presenters, and I see that Double is here, which is grand because I know they were worried they were going to miss things. Oh, I know what I haven't done yet today, though. Once again, I have forgotten to make sure that everyone in the server presenting today gets the special guest role, so that's what we're going to spend our next few minutes sorting out here. Ba-dum-ba-dum. Special guest. All right, I guess quick Q&A session while I'm doing this. How are y'all holding up today? We're in a big pickle today. Me, whenever I see the DeVilho quest. Oh, man. What's a good tech card that you'd add in Springant's deck list versus Sprites and Branded? If it's a Springant's specific card... Huh. Are we talking about Master Duel? Or are we talking about IRL game? Because my first inkling was to say Fallen of Argyros. Because that's a pretty funny card against at least the Sprite matchup. But I don't know if that's available in Master Duel at the moment. Okay. Double needs the roll. Sir Knight needs the roll. Ada needs the roll. Okay, that's actually everyone. Okay, just 3 presenters today. Alright, cool. So, that's all fixed up. Let's go ahead and jump into voice chat. What's people going to do with one of my cards? Well, once you put it out in the world, it's really up to them to utilize it to whatever extent they wish. So, you know, I guess maybe don't become Death Destroyer of Worlds, you know? Maybe hold off on that a little bit. Okay. In voice chat, trying to get Spring Ends and paper is pain here. Oh, that's unfortunate. Spring Ends are supposed to be pretty budget. I'm not sure how Champion Sargus changes the math on that. Okay, these are Double's cards. Double, whenever you are ready, please feel free to make your way into the Battle Dome. And by we've repurposed the Battle Dome into a forum, like an ancient Grecian forum, not like a internet one where conversations go to die. Oh, Armed Dragon. I'm seeing Armed Dragon level max. I'm already incredibly excited. Actually, as a Link monster, it doesn't have any level. At that point, I will simply be destroyed. Budget in America, not exactly in SCA areas. Fair. Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Double, how's it going?
Going well, and you?
I'm waking up a little bit, so I might be a little slow on the uptake.
Don't worry, I'm exactly the same. As I told you, I was napping before this.
Yeah, very sorry. I woke up this morning, it's like, damn, I don't have a thumbnail. I need to figure one out.
Okay.
Alrighty, so seeing a lot of funky stuff here. Anything that you would like to preface for the audience?
Yeah, so this this month not really an archetype of my own. This is just support for level cards, for level monsters. I was disappointed once more to see that when they revealed the Horus card at the beginning of the month, that it still wasn't any kind of level support, or it wasn't really supporting for real Horus the Black Flame Dragon. So I decided to make my own.
Alrighty. Is there any particular card that we should start with out of this list, or do we just want to go left to right on this?
Uh, you can go. You can start from the left, and then if I have something to say about one of these cards, I'll just interrupt you.
Alrighty.
So yeah, just to specify, I try to modify some artwork, but some are just basically the placeholder I stole the art of another card.
Hey, no problem with me. These are already Yu-Gi-Oh cards that we're looking at all the time, so if you got to reuse the art from some, ain't no problem.
Okay, so go ahead.
Alright, first up we have Amazing Level Up Lab, a field spell card. Monsters you control gain 200 attack and 1 level for each level monster you control with a different name. You contribute a level monster to special summon a level monster from your hand or deck that is listed in the sent monster's text with an equal or lower level than the level the monster had when it was on the field, ignoring summoning conditions, and treat it as if it was special summoned by the effect of the attributed monster. If a level monster is sent to the graveyard to activate a card effect, you can add from your deck to your hand a level monster or one card that has level in its text. You can only use each effect once per turn.
So the difficult part with the level monsters was the fact that you need to find a way to upgrade them. They were made to evolve turn after turn, like get one upgrade per turn. But nowadays it's a bit slow for modern game. So I tried to find a mechanic that would keep the flavor of level monsters while making them a bit faster. This is how I did it with the way level up lab works. Basically, I made some cards that increase the actual level, so the number of stars of the level monsters on field, and then when they have the required level or higher, you contribute them for their evolved form.
Okay, I'm glad you pointed that out, because for a second I was like, why does it require you to summon a monster with a lower or equal level when we're trying to level them up? But the field spell itself solves that by bumping their levels up to cause that, so that's actually really clever.
Yeah, I try to play on this, so you can technically you can use that effect to evolve any number of time per turn, but you always need to evolve into something that is listed in the set monster text, and you always need to have the right level. So you can play anything, any card in the game that would modulate levels to try to get to that result. You can try to splash that with anything that could modulate the levels of your LV monsters.
Okay, yeah, I'm only just realizing that it's the search effect that's a hard once per turn, but the level up is like the Libromancer field spell. There's no limit to how many times you can do that in a turn. What in the what? That's amazing.
And I made a second card for that purpose, which is the trap card just after this one.
Alright, we have... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything. Please continue.
Alright, we have XP Booster, a continuous trap card. Level monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, they gain 200 attack and 1 level for each monster in the graveyards. You contribute a level monster to special summon a level monster from your deck with the same type and attribute, but an equal or lower level than the type attribute level the monster had when it was on the field, ignoring its summoning conditions. Then banish a number of monsters from the grave equal to the difference in the original level of the two monsters.
This was supposed to be a normal trap that would equip itself to a monster originally, but I had some issue with the size of the text, and I decided to make it a continuous trap and just make it simpler overall. So this is the second card that play with the same mechanic as the lab, where you want to gain levels for your monsters so that you can upgrade them. But unlike the lab, you can only do it once. But this one allow you to skip a step. So you can go from Armed Dragon level 3 to Armed Dragon level 7 directly, for example. You don't have to go through level 5, unlike with Level Up Lab. But Level Up Lab allow you to do it an infinite number of times as long as you have the right levels on feed. So these two balance each other in some way.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a trap card and that it isn't like just using your monsters in graveyard means that you can also use this as like a big disruption tool.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You can DD crawl a number of monsters from your opponent's graveyard while you use the evolution effect.
we're really, literally just taking their monsters from their graveyard and like squeezing all the experience points out of them, just and then
That's
tossing
the
them out.
idea.
It's amazing.
This is you get the idea. Also, I'm glad you did it naturally, but I forgot to tell you. I used the exclamation in a lot of these in a lot of names for this card. So I'm glad you're just using the proper intonation when going XP booster.
Yeah, I think I messed up with that with Level Up Lab, but I'm gonna get back on my danger nonsense and say it correctly.
Keep going, keep going.
All right, next we have Surprise Monster Egg, a level 3 Earth Warrior monster with 0 attack and 900 defense. As a quick effect, you can discard this card to reveal 3 level 4 or lower level monsters from your deck. Your opponent randomly chooses one, shuffle the rest into the deck, then apply one of these effects. Either special summon the chosen monster, and if you do, it gains 500 attack in 1 level, also it's unaffected by your opponent's activated effects this turn, or send the chosen monster to the graveyard, and if you do, during the next standby phase, special summon a level monster from your deck that is treated, okay, set monster text. Oh my, oh yeah, I don't know what happened there. During this time phase, special summon a level monster from your deck that is listed in the set monsters text, then you can add a surprise monster egg from your grave to your hand. You can use each effect once per turn.
So you have two choices basically with this kind of hand trap in a way. So you can either you summon the base form, but you have to. There is some randomness element to this since you have to reveal 3 copies if you want to have exactly what you want. So you can summon it and it gets boosted, or you send it to the graveyard and you instead you wait until the standby phase and you summon the evolved form one stage higher. So I wanted to play on the idea that you can let the egg grow a bit longer instead of hatching directly. And if you do that, you also recover the egg, so you can use it again. So you're rewarded for waiting a bit longer. But if you can't wait, you can also just discard the egg, summon the base form, and it's boosted. And since it has a higher level and higher attack, it has better chances to beat other monsters by battle, and some like Horus level 4, for example, love need to destroy monsters by battle. So it can help on that aspect, I guess.
Well, okay then. Alrighty, are we ready to move on to the next one? Alright, we have Mysterious Level Modulator, a level 3 light spellcaster monster with 300 attack and 1600 defense. You can discard to excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, then if you excavated a level monster, add a spell or trap that has level in its text from your deck or grave to your hand, also send the excavated cards to the graveyard. Otherwise, shuffle all excavated cards into the deck. You can banish this card and 1 spell or trap card from your graveyard to shuffle a level monster from your hand or grave into the deck, and if you do, you can special summon a monster with the same name from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions.
This one was inspired by the spell card level modulation, and basically it's like the gambler who will play the dice in this card. And level modulation isn't a really good spell in itself. Like you don't want to pot of greed your opponent. I tried to give it also a gambling aspect with the excavating. So basically, you need to play level monsters if you want to do this. It will also fill your graveyard to help with XP booster. And the last effect is made to imitate level modulation in some aspect, except modulation was never able to, let's say, summon Horus level 8 that would have been milled, that wouldn't have been properly summoned. So instead of summoning from the graveyard, modulator shuffles back the monsters into the deck, and then you summon it from the deck, where the rules of proper summon doesn't need to be followed.
Yeah, it solves that kind of weird thing that happens whenever you do the ignoring summoning conditions thing. So that's nifty.
Yeah, that was the goal. Next up is a line of level monsters I created for this support. And you can I use the artwork of the Jinzo monster because they're a bit related in the idea. You can continue.
Alright, Omniscient Manipulator level 3 is a level 3 Dark Psychic effect monster with 1300 attack and defense. It negates your opponent's trap effects that target this card. And once per turn, as a quick effect, you can look at your opponent's hand, and if you do, this card gains 300 attack and 1 level. During the standby phase, you contribute this card to special summon an Omniscient Manipulator level 6 from your hand or deck. Then you can set an XP booster directly from your deck. It can be activated this turn. Heyo!
Another change I made about these cards was that I wanted to keep playing on the idea of phases, but I wanted to make it faster, so I made it evolve during any standby phase, not just your standby phase. So if it survives even less than a turn, you can immediately evolve it. You can set, and you can also set the XP booster. And since it can be activated this turn, counted you have enough monsters in the graveyard, or your opponent has enough monsters in their graveyard. So if there is some kind of interactivity with this, you can use the XP booster to immediately evolve into the third form. So please continue.
Alrighty. Omniscient Manipulator level 6 is a Dark Psychic level 6 monster with 2300 attack and defense, unaffected by your opponent's trap effects. And once per turn, as a quick effect, you can look at your opponent's hand and all set cards they control, and if you do, this card gains 300 attack and 1 level for each trap card on the field and in their hand. Ooh, goodness. During the standby phase, if this card is level 9 or higher, you contribute this card, special summon an Omniscient Manipulator level 9 from your hand, deck, or graveyard, then you can draw a card.
Yeah, you can see the pattern with these. I think you can look at more and more things as you evolve.
And lastly is Omniscient Manipulator, or lastly for this line, is Omniscient Manipulator level 9, a level 9 Dark Psychic monster with 3300 attack and defense. Can't be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by a card effect. Negate your opponent's trap effects on the field and in the graveyard. Also, this card gains 300 attack and a level for each banished trap card. As a quick effect, you can activate the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and reveal their hand and all set cards they control. Banish all trap cards from among them, then you can banish one other card among them. Also place the remaining activated cards on top of their deck in any order. If this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by your opponent's card, you can special summon an Omniscient Manipulator level 3 from your deck or graveyard. Wow, that is a heck of a payoff. Holy cow.
The level monsters were always weirdly obsessed with spell effects. You have 2 spell negators, you have 1 monster that isn't affected by spells. That was pretty weird. Then you have the armed dragon lines, which can deal with monsters in some way. So I decided to make a line that could deal with traps. That was the missing link.
Yeah, and not only being able to manipulate your opponent's top decks, but just ripping out any trap card from around there, that's giving Eradicator Epidemic Virus a run for its money. And you can do that during your opponent's turn too. That's so wicked.
Yes, this is a quick effect.
Good gravy.
So yeah, it's indeed a payoff. Maybe I should have made it simpler. I also gave it a floating effect. It turns back into level 3 if it dies.
Which is a nice insurance policy to make sure that you're not completely losing everything after you sunk so much time getting into the other one.
The next card isn't just for not just for level support. I had this idea for a bit. You will see. I think.
Well, really quick, we are coming up on our 15 minutes. Is there a Are there any like specific important cards that we need to cover on this archetype?
I'd like to finish this last three, and I can go over the concept for the Link monsters rather quickly. But if you're not mind, I'd like you to read the last three cards.
Alrighty. Winged Karibo level 4 is a level 4 light fairy monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. You can special summon this card from your deck by sending a face-up Winged Karibo you control to the graveyard. During your opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, you can tribute this card to send a Transcendent Wings from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon a level 9 or higher Winged Karibo monster from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. Then if you summoned Winged Karibo level 10, immediately after this effect resolves, skip to the start of the battle phase of this turn. Oh my god!
Yeah, so Wing Karibo level 10 never had support. So I killed two birds with one stone. I made Wing Karibo level 4, which make level 10 suitable target for some of my level support. And then I also gave basically Kuribo players their support to summon level 10. And since it skips to the battle phase, you can immediately use the effect and mirror force your opponent.
Yeah, your opponent doesn't get to skip over that at this point. You're forcing the issue. Outrageous. Zack Attack, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed the Albazler. Alrighty, next level max?
Yeah, level max.
Sorry, level max is an equip spell card. Tribute a monster. Special summon a level 7 or higher level monster from your hand or deck with the same original type and attribute, ignoring its summoning conditions but negate its effects, and treat it as level 13. Then immediately after this effect resolves, Link summon one level max Link monster using that monster you control as material, and if you do, equip it with this card. When this card leaves the field, return the equipped monster to the extra deck. Once per turn during the end phase, apply one of these effects. Either destroy this card, or shuffle a level monster from your grave into the deck, then you can draw a card. You can only activate one level max per turn.
This was the last idea I had to ensure that some level monster could evolve quickly into the final form. So I took inspiration from Charlemagne, which is the new Infernable League monster, the Link one, you know, the one I'm talking about. And I made an array of Link 1 monsters that are basically the evolution of these level max of these max level monsters. And their material is always let's say for example level 11 or higher Armed Dragon level 10 for Armed Dragon level max. So you need one level higher, so you still need to increase the level. And so they are the same. They regain the effect of the originals, and they have one additional effect. For example, Armed Dragon level max as a negation in addition to the effect of Armed Dragon level 10.
Alrighty.
And you can cheat them out using this equip spell. You can technically play them in other decks. For example, you could play level max in Dragonity, since they are made of wind dragons. You could get a one-turn negation this way, but if you don't play level monsters, you can't keep the monster for long, since you have to shuffle every end phase.
Yeah, that makes sense. It is cool that it gives like a bunch of decks the ability to kind of use it, but unless you are on like a specific level strategy, you are eventually going to have to, you know, stop renting the card and play your actual strategy.
Yes.
Alrighty. And then we have Black Mega Flame Thunder Punisher Level Ultra! Ooh, that gave me shivers. That's a really nice name.
You can play. It was inspired by the names of the actual attacks of Armed Dragon and Horus in the GX anime, in Japanese at least.
Nice! You can apply any of the following effects in sequence based on the number of level max and or level 7 or higher level monsters you control with different names. It's also a quick play spell, so you can spring this on your opponent at any time. One or more, your opponent can't activate cards or effects during the standby phase, battle phase, and end phase until the end phase of the next turn. The attack of 2 or more, the attack of all monsters your opponent currently controls becomes 0 and their effects are negated. And 3 or more, destroy all spell and trap cards your opponent controls. During the standby phase, if you control a level 5 or higher level monster, you can set this card from your graveyard, so you always have access to it.
If you play there, if you have some high levels on the field, yes. If you turn them all into level max, you might not recover the card, however.
Oh, right, because they technically don't have levels.
Yeah.
They have so many levels, they've transcended beyond levels.
Basically, further beyond.
Alrighty. Well, that's a pretty cool additional thing to give them. Having essentially a win condition in the your opponent's field doesn't exist anymore is pretty spiffy.
Yeah, and I wanted to help the other ones evolve, have an easier time evolving. So blocking the effects during the standby battle phase and end phase assures that the opponent can still play. It's not like VFD, but it's on this phase during which the monsters evolve.
And now you know you can play triple tactics talent because they can't play around it.
Yeah, I guess.
Alrighty. And so these level max monsters, I presume, are like souped up versions of each one of their respective level monsters?
Yeah, basically, they're, as I told you, they're like Charlemagne, and they just have one additional effect for each of them. Armed Dragon level max has monster effect negation and destroy monsters your opponent controls when it does. Horus can banish spells from either graveyard or a field to destroy the cards on the field. Silent Magician level max reduce the opponent's onside limit to 3 and forbid them from setting cards, which is related to the wall drawing, having cards in on the aspect. And Silent Swarmman level max prevents your spell from being negated. So this means you are no longer lock spell negated by your own swordsman.
Alrighty. Well, sick. I wish they would just print these cards. You keep making some of the coolest freaking like support cards for existing themes here. It's outrageous.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, any other comments you'd like to make about the deck, or is it time to break out the Nova scale?
I think I'm done. I probably will have to revamp the Link monsters at some point to account for the fact that some level monsters like Ultimate Insect level 7 need to have been summoned by their lower form to gain their effects, and so it wouldn't work with the level max, with the concept of the level max. That would be problematic. But this is another kind of worm. I'll see for it another day.
Alrighty. Well then, let's get a start with novelty here. We are basing it off of a previously established archetype, but it is levels, a part of the game's history that Konami just does not seem to want to acknowledge very much. I guess they did it with Armed Dragon Thunder, but they took out almost everything that made the whole level mechanic, worthwhile.
They did. Honestly, the Armed Dragon Thunders are just their own thing. They don't really work with other levels and don't really reward you for playing the old Armed Dragons.
Armed Dragon Thunders became a vehicle to use Pile Armed Dragon, and that doesn't count, so I feel like they kind of lost their way. So I'm going to give it a 4 on novelty on that one. Okay, objectivity. Now, of course, playing a level deck is already, you're kneecapping yourself already. The cards introduced here, though, I'm a little wary of, because these cards are overtuned, as far as I can tell, to all heck. XP Booster is a way to ruin your opponent's graveyard and go up into some of your higher level monsters out of nowhere. And with the introduction of Omniscient Manipulators, we can do this almost immediately, especially with the help of Amazing Level Up Lab. Win Karibo level 4 effectively takes all of the downsides of 10, chucks him out a window, and says, I am activating this effect if you enter main phase. Or if we enter your turn, we are going to skip your main phase 1. Or I guess they'll have some main phase time because it's during your opponent's main phase. But it is just going to ruin their turn immediately. So their power level, I think, is off the charts here. However, I do think the problem-solving card text is pretty good. I noticed that we had a lot of the ignoring summoning conditions, We kept in mind a lot of things like maintaining type and attributes, level modifications on here. So I'm tentatively giving a 4 on objectivity. I feel like I'm maybe overhyping how powerful these cards are, which I am known to do. So I'm not going to try and dock too many points from that one, so we'll just give it a 4 on objectivity.
Yeah, I might have overdone it.
Okay, versatility. There are some cards in here, like you were saying, that allow for this to be splashed into other decks, the way how level max works. In general, this is focused on level monsters in particular, but because levels kind of weave into other stuff, it's not, like, excruciatingly limited, so I'm not going to give it a 1, but I think it deserves at least a 2 on versatility.
I tried my best.
And for 5, see, like it's level monsters, so like they're like old, but like I don't know if they're cool. That's a lie. They're really cool. I'll give you a 5, baby. We got a 5 as level monsters. We're bringing them back. Let's go.
How could you not give a 5 to to a card named Black Mega Flame Thunder Punisher Lava Lutra?
That is so true. I can't believe I tried to fool all of you into thinking I didn't think that was the raddest thing under the sun. The level monsters are getting a 15 total. A very, very solid score on the Nova scale. Double, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Glad to be here.
Any final statements for the audience before we move on to our next presenter?
I think I don't have anything to say. Maybe I'll do another presentation of some other level support in the future if I feel like it, if I find other idea, but I think that's all.
Alrighty. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining in, and hopefully we'll catch you next time, and I'll see you on the Discord.
See you later.
Alright, take care.
Yeah.
That was a really cool archetype. Okay, hey, very sorry for waiting on the question on there. Could you confirm your Discord name? Or better yet, could you message me on Discord? Just so I can make sure that I have you on the list. Because I updated someone on the list, but only one person, and I remember 2, and I don't think your name on YouTube matches up with anything that I've found. So, if you could just DM me on the channel Discord, I can try to get that ironed out. It'll probably be tomorrow, not today, though. I imagine playing around Triple Tactics talent, whoever intentionally does that. And see that's why Triple Tactics talent is the best card in the game. No one plays around it, so it's never a dead card. Evil Nova says. Alrighty. Next up we have Sir Knight JCB. Let's go ahead and open up their cards over here, and let's go ahead and zoom in real quick. Bum, bum, bum. Alrighty. The Terraformidables. Oh, these ones are funky. I'm looking forward to it. We'll do an half cent. Alright, I'm going to follow up on this message while we're waiting for Sir Knight. If Sir Knight is not here by the time I get this message ironed out... Okay, cool. Hey, I've got it all over here. Yeah, we will handle that. We'll handle that tomorrow. I believe we're going live at like 4 p.m. I forget what time I posted for when we're going live, actually. What I'm going to do, not try to interrupt my opponent's plays. If they have triple tack, they do. Sometimes that happens. That's fine. You just got to live with it. You just have to play into it. It's the only way. And you simply have to play Triple Tactics talent because it's the best card. Said 6. Okay. So it'd be 6 Central is when we're going live tomorrow, so that's when we'll do it. You'll probably slot it in near the end, though. So 10 a.m. like you started would be cool. Okay, Sir Knight, I'm gonna message Sir Knight really quickly, and then we'll move on to the next... Oh, there we go. Okay, cool, there we go. Yeah, let's go ahead and put Sir Knight on hold for a second, and we will move on to our next presenter. Ada, I know this is a bit ahead of schedule, but would you like to go ahead right now? Okay, let me go ahead and get theirs pulled up here. Ba-dum-ba-dum. Ba-dum-ba-dum. Ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Ba-ding-ba-dum. Okay, I got your message, but it looks like it's in code. It's in an XML file. Is there a particular way I should open that?
Should be able to just open it on Dueling Book. I didn't see a thing to generate a link that actually gave the customs.
Got it. Let me go ahead and get that loaded up. While we're waiting, hey, it's awesome to finally talk to you.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, import deck. Yeah, that one. XML. Boom. There it goes there. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Alrighty, okay. Double to stream, and... Alright, your creations are now visible for the world to see!
Yeah, so, it's dual terminal fanfic.
Let's go! Let's go!
Okay, so I should preface this. Big dual terminal fan. At the end of the big final dual terminal Master Guide 5 story, all of the Shaddolls are turned back to regular people, but there is a slight issue, which is that they seem to have forgotten the fact that the first set of Shaddolls were not born the same way that all of the other Shaddolls were. So, like, most of them were directly converted into Shaddolls on the spot by having their creation essence overwritten while still alive by Tiara's forces in the Curse of the Shadow Prison. But the original set were dead people from the last war who were fucked up in the cycle of reincarnation and just ejected, and the doll bodies were ejected out into the world by the Naturia Sacred Tree trying to get rid of the pathogen.
Yeah, Tiara was like, oh, you thought you were going to have a happy afterlife. I don't think so. Get over here. Get over here.
Not to be too sassy, but you're trying to tell me that the haunted puppet VTuber likes the Yu-Gi-Oh story where the Shaddolls exist? Couldn't be. Yes.
That is... now, why would you think that, Nicholas? What is the connection there?
Okay, so... basically, the issue that I have with this is... at the end of it, a spell of the Necros has resurrected the dead people and Gem Knight Master Diamond, which is fine, but when they crack open the Infernoid capsules, all the people come out, but that's not where, like, Shaddoll Winda's body was. So it feels like there's a bit of a gap there where you could put in more story.
Mm-hmm.
So, I did.
All right.
And we got these.
Sick. Is there a particular card that we should start with out of all of these, or are these ordered in the order that we should start in?
They're mostly ordered in the order they should start in. After this field spell, look at the link 1 and the first fusion, and then the last fusion is at the end.
Got it. All right, we're starting with Shaddoll Threadbound Underworld, a field spell card. During your main phase, you can reveal a Shaddoll monster in your hand and send a Shaddoll card with a different name from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon the revealed monster in face-down defense position. When a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can activate one of the following effects. Change a face-up monster you control to face-down defense position, or change a face-down monster you control to face-up defense position. Alright, so we're reveal... Oh, okay, cool. So we get to summon it for free, essentially, setting up. Trigger any of our Shaddoll effects from deck, and then also it's just like a responsive flip effect whenever they try to pull something funny. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, in a weird sort of way, it's kind of like the Fluwanderee's field spell.
Yeah, I can see that.
The other thing... So, yes... Although this is quote-unquote Shaddoll support, it's really an attempt to build a side-grade deck that focuses almost entirely on flip effects.
Good. The crawlers have another friend to play with.
Alrighty. They do.
Yeah. Okay, and so that moves on to the Link monster.
Yeah.
Shaddoll Threadborn Core. A Link 1 Dark Spellcaster monster with 1450 attack, requiring a flip monster as material. Once per turn,
I'm so sorry to make a Link 1, but it had to be done.
You know what? I think Shaddoll's, after the absolutely unplayable card that is Shaddoll Construct, I think they deserve to have a playable Link monster. Once per turn, you can also Link summon this card using a face-down flip monster you control. When this card is Link summoned this way, target appropriate cards, if any, for the flip effect of the monster used as Link material. This effect becomes that flip effect. If this card points to your opponent's empty main monster zone, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, then special summon a Shaddoll monster from your extra deck to that zone, ignoring its summoning conditions, but negate its effects on the field. Huh. Okay, so I feel like the idea is to give them a fusion monster to, like, jumpstart the get cards out of the graveyard effect. Is that just me, or is there another reason for this?
It makes your own Shaddoll fusion live.
Oh, because you summon it from the extra deck. Oh, that is so next level. Holy cow.
There's also a couple weird things, because... Strictly, this is not activating that flip monster's flip effect. It is, this effect becomes that effect.
Mm-hmm.
So, if a monster has been sent to the graveyard, you can use its flip effect that same turn.
Oh, okay, yeah. We're getting around the whole hard once per turn stuff. That's pretty funky.
But yeah, it's flip monster support.
So, oh, yeah, you're right. And then you just use it with any flip monster. So, Prediction Princesses, just feel free to activate Coinorma whenever you want. It's fine.
Also, on its hip is Book of Eclipse.
What?
Yeah, click the next spell. Click the next spell.
Next spell. Oh. Okay, why is it Book of Eclipse? Because it sets their monsters face down.
After all of the gods died, the world was a little fucked up on the timescale, and Book of Eclipse fell into it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, my apologies. I was asking from a mechanical standpoint, and then realized afterwards just how good it is to have that in a flip deck. The fact that it's just a random object from another world, that's fine. I'm already bought into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Multiverse thing. That's okay. If anything, I'm just going to count your fan fiction as canon, so it's all fine.
Yeah.
Alright, Shaddoll Eclipse is a quick play spell card. Change as many face-up monsters as possible into face-down defense position, then change that many face-down monsters into face-up defense position. You can banish this card and activate another... You can banish this card and another Shaddoll card from your graveyard to send a Shaddoll monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. You can only use one effect per turn and only once per turn. Oh, that's strong. That's goofy. So we just get to reactivate any of our flip effects. And if we have like a whole like 3 or 4 of them, we just trigger all of them.
Yeah, and if you already have stuff face down, then you can set the opponent's stuff face down and flip your own stuff face up.
So good. And then we get to do extra deck shenanigans like use was it App Cologne to search or just recover by sending our extra decks to the graveyard. That's so good. Holy cow. Okay. In Shaddoll, Sermon of False Promises, counter trap card. When a spell or trap card or effect is activated while you control a Shaddoll monster, even if face down, this card's effect becomes change all of your opponent's face down defense monsters into face up defense. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can change one face up monster on the field to face down defense position. You can only use one effect per turn and only once per turn. I like those. I like the replacement effect on there. That's really solid.
Yeah, all of the, with the exception of the spells, all of the in Shaddoll cards have some kind of effect replacement thing going on.
Oh, that's lovely. All right.
So I don't want to go over the I don't want to go over the entire thing. Only at 15 minutes. I realize that I can't tell the entire story in that time, but the general gist is the god. Okay, Tierra's dead, but Tierra's original reason, the original driving goal of the initial set of Shaddolls was they were driven by the instinctual desire to reunite with their souls and be properly reborn.
Mm-hmm.
And if the deeply corrupted Shaddoll Core and El Shaddoll Winda, who was being directly puppeted by Tierra, tell them that the way to do that is to lay siege and break open the Naturia's Sacred Tree, then that's what they'll do.
They're just gonna.
But after the war is over, they're all resurrected. But if the dolls are still there, then they don't have a soul to return to. That soul is somewhere else. That soul is all in a different living being.
Yeah, they pulled a, what is it, in Kingdom Hearts where all, the Heartless get their bodies back, so the Nobodies are like, well, and what am I supposed to do now?
So, basically, Core's deal here is, it's like, okay, I fucked up. I was being controlled by Tierra for too long. Basically lost my entire identity. Because remember, Core is originally the darkness fueling Cairn Gorgon, which split off from Master Diamond after Master Diamond was resurrected out of the body of El Shaddoll Grista.
Mm-hmm. So now it's like, okay, I ain't.
Maybe I should just rot forever. But there's a bunch of them that were just misguided creatures that Tierra was just using, and they're gonna. When they break down, they don't have an immortal soul. That's not really fair. So it's got a solution. And that's to do the first genuinely nice thing it's ever done and kill a bunch of innocent people.
Finally, at least someone's doing it.
Because if the original people die, then their soul will be there for those people, for the dolls to catch back onto.
It's as simple as that, really.
So that's the villain. That's the villain.
That's a really cool idea. Do you have this fanfic written anywhere, or is it currently all in card form?
I have a lot of text written about it, but it's not written out in script form. I have enough to I understand. I've written down enough that I get the plot, but anyway,
sick.
Probably shouldn't dawdle too long. Can we move on to the first fusion spell?
Yes. By
the way, I forgot to mention in this story that we're going through, El Shaddoll Winda is a floodgate and therefore has been banned.
In this universe where ban lists make sense.
Yeah.
What is the fusion spell we're looking at?
The center one, extant Shaddoll Winda.
Oh right, okay, my bad. Okay, extant Shaddoll Winda, level 5 dark spellcaster monster, requiring a Shaddoll monster and a dark monster as material. Must first be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can special summon a Shaddoll monster from your graveyard in face up or face down defense position. If this card would leave the field by a card effect, you can send another Shaddoll card from your hand or field to the grave instead. If this card is sent to the grave by a card effect, you can banish this card, add up to 3 Shaddoll monsters from your graveyard to your hand. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's this card.
Just a good little value card.
Yep.
So get that back. This card is leave the field by card effect. So it can protect itself. It's kind of like an extension of the previous effect that it used to have.
Mm-hmm. We needed some kind of defense effect, and I thought that like this is pretty strong and sets up for a lot of things, but it also like gives a little bit of hidden information. Your opponent does not know how many Shaddolls are in your hand, so they're not maybe not necessarily sure, but they can't always just run over it in battle.
Oh, yeah, and you can apply that effect as many times per turn as you want, because it doesn't say once per turn. Oh, all right.
None of the Shaddoll fusion spells have once per turn effects. They are, like, literally none of them.
That is so true, and that was so real of them. God. Alrighty. And do we want to move on to the Unraveling next?
Let's do that one last. Let's go to the rest of the spells. Rest of the monsters and traps.
Alrighty. Next is Extant Shaddoll Falco. Level 2, Dark Spellcaster Flip Monster with 600 attack and 1200 defense. Its flip effect is this card's owner can send a card on their card's controller's field to the graveyard. And if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add it to your hand. You can only use one effect per turn and only once per turn. Or you can only use one of the above effects once per turn. And only once per turn. If you control a Shaddoll card, you can reveal this card in your hand as a quick effect to special summon it to your opponent's field in face down defense position.
Yeah, so you can use this you can flip it face up by running into it in battle in order to trigger the flip effect to get rid of something that they have. You can also special summon it as interruption if a Threadbound Underworld is on the field.
Oh, because that special summons it to their field. That's nifty. It's this little Swiss Army knife type of effect there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Then we have In Shaddoll Death Wish, a continuous trap card. When this card is activated, you can special summon a flip monster from your hand in face down defense position. When your opponent activates a monster effect, that effect gains. Then your opponent can destroy one card they control, and if a Shaddoll monster left the field by this effect, your opponent can destroy one card you control. Okay, I think I tripped over that. Could you walk me through, like, mechanically how that would work?
Okay, your opponent uses a monster effect, and it staples this to the end of that effect.
All right.
So if they already removed a Shaddoll monster by the field, then you can destroy something. Or if it didn't, you can destroy a card you control, and if it's a Shaddoll, then you get to destroy a card they control. Okay. And also, the art is Shaddoll Beast tearing Naturia Beast's throat out and self-destructing.
Ooh. That's brutal. But, it is a death wish, so, they're not exactly going to have tea and crumpets over it. Alrighty. And then next up is Shaddoll Visitation, a normal trap card. Send a Shaddoll monster or face down monster you control to the graveyard, and or special summon a Shaddoll monster from your grave in face down defense position. Then, if you did both, you can change one face down monster on the field to face up defense position. While this card is in the graveyard, you can banish this card and one other Shaddoll card from your graveyard, and target one of your banished Shaddoll cards, and send it to the graveyard. So the last one is like a recycler for us, so we can get those things back.
Yes, and also it directly triggers graveyard effects.
Oh, yeah, because most cards say return to the graveyard, but this one actually says send to the graveyard, so it will actually... Okay, that's true. I hadn't thought about that. And then the first one is... It's a reborn and an enabler that is also another enabler if you did both.
Yes.
Incredible. Why couldn't they have just printed this in the Shaddoll structure deck? I feel like this is what they actually need.
It's pretty cool. Do I have time to say one final lore thing?
Please.
Alright, so Shadowwind, the entire time of the war, was being directly puppeted by Tierra. Never really had its own ability to develop its own will. This is true of all of the El Shaddoll cards. Every card that's called El Shaddoll is called that because it is the will of God, and it like taking them over directly. I think it's a pun in Hebrew. Anyway, that's not important.
Because like it's like El Shaddai in Hebrew, so it's El Shaddoll for us. I believe that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, then I suppose what's happening here is like that version of Winda is confronting the Winda that was reborn.
That version of Winda has never had its own identity. Does not particularly care. Like missed out on the driving for the driving urge to reunite with its soul, because by the time it had any awareness that wasn't just being directly taken by Tierra, Winda had already been resurrected by the spell of the Necros and was basically waiting to be released from the Infernoid core.
Gotcha.
So it's here to warn the spiritual beast people that Core is going to go try to kill her and Gusto Falco.
Got it. So she's not in on Core's whole deal right now.
Yeah, that's why it's not in Shaddoll. It's Shaddoll Visitation.
Ah, okay. Good. That was a good attention to detail there. Alrighty, and that leads us into unraveling.
Yeah.
All right. Level. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Level 10 Dark Spellcaster Fusion monster with 2450 attack and 2950 defense, requiring a Shaddoll monster and an In-Shaddoll Threadborn core or Shaddoll core as material. Must first be fusion summoned, and when this card is fusion summoned, using only material on the field. Only material on the field you control, flip as many other cards as possible face down, and your opponent can't flip cards face up that were flipped face down by this effect this turn. When resolving your flip monster's flip effects, you can send a Shaddoll monster from your hand or field to the graveyard, and if you do, change that effect to banish one card on the field. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect except from the extra deck, you can return one card on the field to the hand. Okay, so does that flip as many other cards on the field face down as possible also apply to things like spells and traps?
Yeah, I was noticing when someone said that same thing yesterday, I was just like, should I mention this in chat? Nah, I'll wait.
That is incredible that 3 different people have independently come up with effects like that this weekend. Is there like some kind of mean spell or trap card going around right now that people are just sick of dealing with?
Not really. I just thought it would be an interesting extension of Book of Eclipse's whole deal. In the art, it's holding on to a whole lot of things, but one thing it's not holding on to is itself. It's really not having a great time.
So what is it? Is it like I guess it literally says in the name. It's literally unraveling.
Yeah, like the core, the Shaddoll core in Threadborn core is upright, and it's in the same basic position as it's in all of the other cards that it's in Karen Gorgon, in Grista. Mm-hmm. But here it's sort of mostly on its side and all of the little heads in the hair are being held down by the threads.
Oh. Huh. So is it
it's
like...
not having a very good time. It's just having a bad time.
Is like the power that it's commanding getting too much for it, or is there some other force that's like messing
maybe
with it?
perhaps maybe it's just really frustrated and angry.
All right. I can vibe with that. Letting one's eldritch form run rampant because just very angry.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful. Okay, so we've got the we have our big flip down effect. I like that we can use the trap card as fusion material once we get that summoned. That's really cool. It's face down. It keeps them from blowing it up, so they can't respond with anything they do have up there. That's pretty nifty. Solving your flip monster's effect.
Well, I mean, if they had something face down already, they can flip it up. But if this flips something face down, they can't immediately just flip it back up.
Yeah, so no reestablishing any of their floodgates or support cards. Nothing. Which I imagine is really useful if you summon this out with like Shaddoll fusion.
Yeah, or if you use it from the field with the trap. Schism, that's it.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Alright, when resolving your flip monster flip effects... Oh, so any flip monster can be changed to the banished thing as long as we have a Shaddoll we can send for it. Superb.
Yeah, also it's strictly it's for Shaddolls, but these effects do work with any flip monsters.
That's nifty.
So if you wanted to run Tendangles and banish stuff, you could. If you wanted to flip up Magician of Faith, that's fine.
I could get back a spell, or I could kill you. and that's how Magician of Faith ended up being a healer, but alrighty. And then we of course have the retaliatory bounce a card. Which I guess can work on your own cards, but I don't know if there's anything you would want or necessarily would want to bounce unless there was like a niche situation. I generally feel like this is used to like take a card out of your opponent's field. Is there anything I'm missing with that?
I mean, probably. There's a couple weird things where you may want to recycle the effects of your stuff on the field, but you could already do that by flipping them back up after they've been flipped face down, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, these are some pretty sweet-ass cards going on here. Is there any combos or any interactions that we haven't touched on yet? Or do you want to move on to the Nova scale?
As far as combos, the obvious, I would say, combo is if you play the field spell, you reveal a Shaddoll in your hand and summon it, but also you bin Wendy to summon Shaddoll Hedgehog to your field and face down. You link it off for Threadborn Core to add one of the spells or traps or Shaddoll Fusion to your hand.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh my god. Because, yeah, like, I mean, personal experience, getting to those Shaddoll spells and traps is like the most difficult thing out of the deck, and so this just fixes that. Incredible.
There was a bit of, like, I wanted it to specifically, like, have reasons to play all of the Shaddoll cards in your deck that aren't just... Because, yeah, Shaddolls get played, but not really for the behalf of the effects that are written on them. They get played because it's incidentally good to randomly mill a beast and draw a card, or Ariel and banish a bunch of stuff from your opponent's grave.
So this gives us, like, the incentive to play more Shaddolls because you need to have a critical mass of them to actually activate the effect by having it in hand. And then you just get to do all the cool stuff with it.
That is true, and also the existence of the Link 1 allows them to not just rot in your hand, because you can always just get out the Link 1 with them.
Oh yeah,
the Link 1's pretty good.
The Link 1 slaps. Because, like, that combo you just said about it, you can get Shaddoll Fusion, and then you just give them the Shaddoll Extra Deck monster, and then you go to town.
Yeah, or you can set up Eclipse or Sermon on False Promises to be interruption.
Yeah, which are pretty good pieces of disruption. Holy cow. Alrighty, well, thank you very much for showing this. May I begin the numbering process?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, novelty. As with all things based on other archetypes, there's a little less novelty here because we are building from a core that already exists. So the focus is on how this instead enables it, like, does it enable it in a different way. There are some things that we see. Shredding things from the extra deck is also something that we've touched on previously. But I do like the only other archetype that lets you use face-down monsters as link material is Ghost Tricks, and that's, for all of its funny flippingness, it's not a flip deck. So this kind of seeds into that, but we don't see a lot of those. So I think utilizing that mechanic is still pretty fresh. I also like using the idea of not just giving our opponent a monster, but giving our opponent a flip monster that just sits there until we trigger it to do more stuff in the form of Extant Shaddoll Falco is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and land this a 4-on novelty. I think this is a pretty interesting way to take Shaddolls now that we've finished up their main story. Or their current story.
Yeah.
Okay, objectivity. Are these cards formatted correctly? I don't think I saw anything that was wrong about any of the problem-solving card text here. I know we had a conversation like last month about the existence of replacement effects that stop cards from leaving the field, but it's still one of those areas where it's like it's not a knock from me. It's a cool effect that we should have more of, so I'm glad that that's being introduced here. Aside from that, problem-solving card text is good. Power level. I think some of these cards a lot of these cards are really, really strong. Do I think they're busted? I actually don't think so. I think that they bring Shaddolls up to a modern level. Combos that you can do with Threadborne Core are stupendous, but I don't see, like you were saying earlier, this is meant to focus you on just playing Shaddolls, so it's not meant, or Shaddolls slash flip monsters, which I think is really cool. It's not going to be chopped up into a bunch of other decks. You do have to use these very specific kinds of cards. So I think this gets a 5 in objectivity, unless there's some kind of broken infinite combo that I'm missing out on here. I think this is power levels good, and it's all formatted correctly.
I did try to make sure that there wasn't anything too insular with that. Regarding some infinite combos, like none of them, I didn't introduce new ways to search stuff. I just enabled the existing ones.
Yeah. Versatility.
That's not true. I did the field spell, but that's not quite the same.
Yeah, but who's going to break field spells? They banned terraforming in Master Duel.
Dude, did they?
Oh, yeah, you can't play in Master Duel anymore.
I haven't played Master Duel in a hot minute.
Their ban lists are just so funny. Even if you don't play, just like looking through the changes they made with no explanation, can probably replace a good like open mic night. All right, versatility. So versatility is something that another thing that we touched on while we were talking about these cards. Shaddolls themselves get splashed into everything that has like graveyard synergies. These cards are a little less so, but they do allow for flip monsters to be splashed in, so it's not allowing themselves to be used in a wider pool, but there is still some level of synergy that we could use. And just the existence of Threadborne Core, inactivity, excuse you. All right, I'm gonna do this off of memory real quick. Deck constructor. Don't look at the deck here, folks. This isn't important. This isn't a deck that I'm playing for anything. Don't look at it. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I think that there's a decent amount of versatility on here. I think it's going to get a 3 for its ability to splash with some flip cards, and they're really good. I'll just do that. Okay, and awesomeness. Folks, chat, I want you to let me know what you think I'm going to give this theme to. What do you think I feel on the awesomeness on this one? Ada, what do you think I'm going to give this on awesomeness?
The reason it took 2 months is because I needed to set time outside to... Because I did mention wanting to do something based on this to you a couple months ago, but I mean I needed to do the art.
And some pretty kicking art too, by the way. I think my favorite is, I feel like a lot of work went into Unraveling and Threadborn Core, and those are really good. But there's something about Shaddoll Visitation I just really like.
I'm glad to hear.
Folks, if you said 5 in chat, you're so totally correct. It's getting a 5. It's Shaddolls again. I love this fusion archetype. It's so cool, and I love dual terminal, so it's getting a 5 from me. That means that Ada Basilisk Shaddoll custom cards are getting a 17 on the Nova scale. A very good score for this format. Ada, thank you so much for showing these off. Do you have any final words for the audience before we move on to our next guest?
Is this self-promotion allowed?
Oh, absolutely. I'm grabbing your link right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a Yu-Gi tuber per se. I'm just like a game designer who likes Yu-Gi-Oh, but I do a Yu-Gi-Oh show every 2 weeks. So it's pretty fun. I do custom cards. I used to use AI art for them, but I don't anymore. I just paint them all. The effects are AI generated though.
And you can find their channel for it right here. So you can find Dream Regression, the series where cards get made up and then they are slashed from the history books forever. All right.
Goodbye, Book of Moon. This is why we have to use Book of Eclipse now. This is why Book of Eclipse fell into this world.
This is the Dream Regression is the reason that we have the new Shaddoll threat.
All right, I have a good one.
All right, take care. Have yourself a good one and take care. All right, those were cool. Those are awesome. Let's go ahead and get my list pulled up here. Okay. So, Sir Knight, if you're available, let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the next person's Zaldreka. Babading, Babadooey. Does anyone know how to make the bullet point for custom cards on Dueling Book? Oh, I have no clue how that works. Oh, Glorious, I know. I like your channel. Did you have a pre-selected list of cards for today's stream, or is it just sent to you? Cloranus, so the way it works is a few days before we start the custom card weekend, I send out a form for all the patrons to fill out, and that shows up on the Patreon or the patron section of the Discord. We're still doing some more tomorrow, so if you want to join in on this one, go to the Patreon. $5 or up gets you access to the post for it. And then follow that, and then you can submit your cards, and then I can get you added in on Sunday, and we'll have a gay old time with it. All right, let me grab this here. Okay, Sir Knight is here. Let me go ahead and grab Sir Knight's stuff. Boom. There's the Terraformidables. Alrighty. I was going to ask how are we doing the audio. This is the first time I have ever done something like this. Hey, if you part of the form, or I saw that you messaged me directly. There should be a form on the Discord if you want to fill it out. There is a thing that says you can submit if whether or not you want to present or not. If you want to present, I just make sure that you get a role on the Discord, and that gives you access to a voice channel that you'll be joining in on, and that's how we'll talk about it. Okay, Sir Knight, thank you so much for joining me here on this Orbital Platform Custom Card Weekend. How are you doing this fine evening?
I'm quite nervous, not gonna lie.
Oh, why's that? You're only performing in front of 50 people. It's not a big deal.
I'm not sure about that, Chief.
No, I understand. It is quite a bit, but don't worry. You are among friends. And I'm only going to bully you if one of the effects is like, give your landlord a tip, because they work so hard to ensure that you have a house over your head, and definitely won't kick you out if you don't pay. That's when I'll start bullying.
Oh, okay then. Should I preface a few things before we start?
Oh, yeah, if you have any, preface things, please go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, this was way back during when I was at my peak of, trying a lot of new things. This archetype in particular was actually inspired by Golden Ladybug of all things, because I was very intrigued by its effect where it reveals itself and it stays like that for the end of the turn. But I thought to myself, what if I made an entire archetype based off of that? And I came across this artist's work, and I was so awe-inspired by it. Should I mention the artist in question?
Oh, please.
The artist's name is a word that I don't think is in the dictionary, so I have to type it out. So it's I think it's Nuriaka Benuri, or Nurikabenuri. Or I could just like do it in like the Patreon or like chat or whatever. But they basically do a lot of artwork that they have animals, but they're like mountain sized, so they're like giant. They're like So like the first monster you see, like the Terraformidable tiger, it's literally a mountain shaped like a tiger. And I was like, this is so amazing. I'm gonna make this archetype everything about like these creatures. It's just like, but obviously because of our policy, we can't use actual artwork. So but I still wanted to make it nonetheless because there's so many like cool artworks. Because I always love animals, but like ones that are like considered giant. So there's a few themes that follow into this archetype here. You'll notice that it's in a bullet list. That's because I took a page from Therians where it's the only archetype where it mentions a specific listed number effect that could be shared. And there's like very few monsters that do share, but I like that format so much that makes reading a bit more bearable. So
Agreed.
Yeah, so the first effect is going to be shared where you can reveal this card in your hand until the end of your opponent's turn to special a different name that isn't revealed in your hand. So my theme is that the monsters don't mind being revealing themselves because back then humanity lived with these creatures almost like a symbiotic relationship. Almost like if you were to think of gods, these were the creatures that you would worship because the earth gave each animal a blessing to be not only giants, but guardians to defend them with humanity. Until humanity said, we want to make land, we want to make cities, you're not allowed anymore, so bye-bye. So that's why I also added you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck, because it's like you're depending on someone else rather than the monsters themselves.
Oh, okay. So the extra deck is themed as like, that's modernism, that's the advancement of technology, and so the Terraformidables are like, that's not for us, sorry.
Yeah, because this was also during one of the challenges where I try to make archetypes that aren't based on the extra deck, so I try to make them both unique and probably a bit overpowered. I don't think this archetype particular, but you'll see. But the second bullet point for most of them, except the insect ones, we'll get to them in a bit, is they have an effect while they're on the field. And the third bullet is when they have an effect while they're in your hand revealed. So it's like a hand trap, but it has a lingering effect.
That is so cool. It's like having an additional field spell active, but like from your hand.
Exactly. So that's why I took a good page of like GoldenNovaYugioh, because it only gives you life points, I think, till the standby phase or whatever, and then on your next turn it flips itself back. I wanted to make the whole archetype based off of that.
That is, I'm already sold on this archetype. Can I just do the Nova scale now, real quick?
Are you kidding me? I mean, sure. Maybe go ahead.
No. I want to read. I want to know what they do.
All right, gotcha. I mean, you can read each of them bit by bit, but I just wanted to preface this so that you don't have to read a whole bunch of like the effects that are like the same.
Oh, and honestly, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, so Alte, Terraformidable Tiger, 3,000 attack, 3,000 defense. This card can attack a number of times each battle phase, up to the number of Terraformidable monsters revealed in your hand +1. And while this card is revealed, your opponent can't activate cards or effects when your Terraformidable monster attacks or are attacked. So it's a multi-attacker that can also Armades if it's not on the field. So that's nifty.
Yep, it's like your main beater.
Yeah, especially because that multi-attack does not look like it's restricted to monsters, so that's gonna kill someone.
Yeah, I gotta give that power to one of my favorite animals, because I was born on the year of the tiger.
Hell yeah! All right.
Of course.
Okay, Sleeve, Terraformidable Ox. If this card is normal or special summoned, while you have a revealed Terraformidable monster in hand, negate all face-up cards currently on the field until the end of the next turn except Terraformidables. Okay. And when this card is revealed, you can negate a monster effect activated on your opponent's field, then send this card to the graveyard.
So it's basically like a hand trap, kind of like Ash, but it's like one that doesn't start chain. That's how powerful they are.
Got it. And then because it sends to the graveyard, it's not going to be around to provide any more benefits. It just kind of goes away.
Yeah.
Okay. Terraformidable Tapir Andes. Any battle damage inflicted to your opponent by a Terraformidable monster is treated as effect damage instead. You have... I'm not going to tell you how, but you have read the future in a weird way with that.
Wait, how exactly?
I'm not going to tell you.
Oh.
This card, you'll have to keep an eye out for the episode where I talk about it. This card's all treated as water attribute. Oh, do they all have something like that?
Very few do. I think this is the only one where it's treated as a different attribute, and that's because the artwork based off of it is because the tapir is made of sand, but the back of it is literally an oasis.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, that's why I want to make it a water type.
Cool. Okay, and then while this card is revealed, any effect that would inflict damage to you makes you gain that much life points instead. Oh, neat. So some anti-burn stuff. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Terraformidable Element Domray. Is it Domray or Damray?
I'll just call it Damray.
Alrighty. 3,000 attack, 2,500 defense. Your opponent can't target Terraformidable monsters you control with cards, effects, or attacks. And when this card is revealed, Terraformidable monsters you control can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects. All right. So big defensive one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Terraformidable Eternal Atween. Now this one is just a water by itself. Water Aqua. The first time each Terraformidable monster would be destroyed by battle, except this card, it's not. And while this card is revealed, Terraformidable monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Neat. Ooh, Terraformidable Butterfly Alpine. Oh, that is... I want to find what artwork that's based off of. All these other ones, like, I can see, but, like, a mountain butterfly, I'm like, oh, what is that?
This one, I think, is not really a mountain. It looks kind of mechanical in nature when I saw the artwork, but I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to make it a card anyway. Yeah. Anyway, and just to clarify, the insects are a bit differently, where the second one is the one that's revealed in the hand, and the third effect is when it's in the graveyard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's to reflect, like, you know, how, like, butterflies, insects, like, they're in a cocoon and they're reborn in a different, form. Oh. This is kind of to reflect that.
Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. All right, if a Terraformidable monster was destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect while this card was revealed, you can send this card to the graveyard, special summon a Terraformidable monster from your deck with the same name as the destroyed monster. Okay, so get some replacement on that one. And if this card is in your grave, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card, then target a Terraformidable monster in your grave, except a copy of this card, special summon it, or add it to your hand. And if you do, you can reveal it and keep it revealed until the end of the turn. Oh, and that'll just get all of its effects applied immediately, so you don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll see, like, a few of the spell traps have that too, but this is one of the few exceptions.
Cool. All right, Terraformidable Rhino Kilimanjaro, level 12 Earth Beast, 2,500 attack, 2,000 defense. You can reveal this card in... Oh, no, we're not. Each player can only set a card once per turn. Or set... Oh, so if a card allows them to set multiple cards at the same time, they can still do that, but you only get one of those per turn.
Yeah. I mean, if it's something like, I don't know, Cyberjar, then that's the one time you do it.
Yeah. And while this card is revealed, you can negate a spell or trap effect activated on your opponent's field, then send this card to the graveyard. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Terraformidable Egg Orphic. Level 4 Wind. It's a little smaller mountain, a little hill.
Yeah, this one's a little exception. I mean, it's literally... this one, like, in the artwork is literally just a giant egg, but you can literally see the giant eyes inside of it.
Ooh.
And this one... Yeah. And this one's a bit different, because it's not like the others, because it's level 4. It's still kind of young, so that's why this one's only till the end of this turn, and it has a normal or special effect.
Got it. You can reveal this card in your hand until the end of the turn. Add a Terraformidable card from your deck to your hand, but you can't summon or set this card while it's revealed. And if this card is normal or special summoned, you can declare a type. This card becomes that type until the end of the next turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should keep in mind. I should bear in mind that, like, this thing can add itself. So if you do add another copy of itself, and for some reason you can special summon another egg, you can still activate the last effect. And the last effect will be relevant, but it's on the spell and trap side. Got
it. Yeah, because the first effect says you can't summon this revealed card, but the one that's still hidden you can totally summon.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All Alrighty, Terraformidable Moth Kinabalu is a level 12 2000 wind insect. If a Terraformidable monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send this card to the graveyard while it's revealed. And you can to return it to the hand instead, and then send this card to the graveyard. And if this card is in the graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card, then target a Terraformidable monster you control. Add a Terraformidable monster with a different type from your deck to your hand, except a copy of this card, and if you do, reveal it and keep it revealed until the end of the turn. Okay, yeah, so there's like a bunch of recovery on this one to keep your cards back in rotation.
Yeah, this was later on when I realized, oh yeah, this archetype kind of sucks if they all get popped and there's no way to recover. So it's like, the next insect I'm going to make is like, it's going to help recycle and keep it alive, sort of.
They're going to help keep everyone alive, which is, very helpful. Alright, Terraformidable Dragon Longman, level 12 water. Fish, yes! Fish! Oh, but it's also treated as a dragon type, okay.
Yeah, this is of course based on the legend of like the fish scaling up the waterfalls to become a dragon.
Yeah, big Gyarados energy on this one. If this card or effect is activated as a quick effect, you can reveal one revealed, or if a card or effect is activated as a quick effect, you can send one revealed Terraformidable monster from your hand to the graveyard to negate the activation, and if you do, banish it. Alrighty.
Yep, sorry, the little bullet point is like cut off from the next page.
Oh, and while the card is revealed, your opponent must play with their hand revealed. Okay. I guess that's kind of like an anti-card in the mirror, because now they can't reveal themselves for the special summon effect, but I guess it does kind of keep their reveal effects online. That's pretty funky. And then if it's not a mirror match, you just get perfect knowledge.
Yep, definitely.
Alrighty. I dig.
And that's all the monsters.
And now it's time for the spells and traps.
Yep.
Terraformidable's Transmigration is a quick play spell card that tributes a face-up monster you control, except a level 12 Terraformidable monster. Take a Terraformidable monster with the same type as the attributed monster, and either special summon it or add it to your hand. And if you do, reveal it, and keep it revealed until the end of the turn.
Yep.
And so this is why the egg has a type-changing effect.
Yeah, so essentially the egg is like, almost like the egg of origin, where it can become anything it wants to be, but it hasn't taken shape yet. Or if you, for some reason, want to mix your deck with other things as well, like, I don't know, a freaking use normal summon DD Crow, now you can make it become an egg.
Yeah!
Pretty much that.
I've reversed aged! I'm an egg now! No! Freud was right. I'm never going to escape the conditioning I had as a child. Oh!
Yeah.
Alrighty, the Terraformidable's Return to the Earth. Field spell card. When this card is activated, you can add a Terraformidable card from your deck to your hand, except a copy of this card. Then, if it was a monster, you can reveal it and keep it revealed until the end of the turn. If a Terraformidable monster is, or if any number of Terraformidable monsters are special summoned from the hand by the effect of a Terraformidable card, you can excavate the top cards of your deck equal to the number of revealed Terraformidable monsters in your hand. And if you do, add an excavated Terraformidable monster to your hand, reveal it, and keep it revealed until the end of this turn. Also shuffle the rest into the deck. You can only activate one of this card per turn.
Yeah, this is like a way for the deck to, aside from like pot of cards, this is another way for the deck to keep getting more and more of its like, giants essentially, without like, blocking. Well, yeah.
Yeah, so we can only activate it once per turn, which gets us the card. But we can do the excavate effect any number of times per turn. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's nasty. I guess eventually we might run out of cards to reveal, but that's, oh my gosh, that's strong. Alright, Harmony with the Terraformidable. You can only control one of this continuous spell card. If a Terraformidable monster effect is activated in the hand, gain 500 life points. Hey, Golden Ladybug detected.
Yep.
Woo. And plays a Harmony counter on this card. Once per turn, you can remove any number of Harmony counters on this card to excavate the top cards of your deck equal to the number of Harmony counters removed. Then add an excavated Terraformidable card from your deck to your hand. Add one excavated Terraformidable card from your deck to your hand. Then if it was a monster, you can reveal it and keep it revealed until the end of the turn.
Yeah, I just said like, yeah, one's not enough. We need more.
we gotta keep doing excavating. We're a bunch of mountains. What do you think you do with mountains?
Yeah, it's also another way to like again, to reveal like cards in your deck because these creatures don't mind revealing themselves anyway. I mean, it's bad for the player, but I mean, it's still good, for the theme.
Yeah. All right, trap cards. What remains of the Terraform... Oh, that's already a sad name. Why would you do this to me?
Yeah, the artwork I saw of this is literally a dragon's like skeletal remains on top of a tank.
Oh.
Yeah, the guy makes great artwork, but also tragic ones.
Some of the best art is, unfortunately. All right. What remains of the Terraformidable? Continuous trap card. You can only control one copy of this. Once per chain, when a Terraformidable monster is special summoned from the hand, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. Once per turn, you can target a Terraformidable monster in your grave and either special summon it or add it to your hand. Also, you can reveal it, and if you do, keep it revealed until the end of this turn. If this card leaves the field, destroy all Terraformidable cards you control. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, this is more in theme again with the artwork where there is a kid that's like inside of like an actual like giant skull of an animal, and it's just to reflect that theme. But don't worry, there is a combo to help save this what is it called? Hindrance, if you will. There is a combo you could do with it, but I'll explain that later.
Got it. All right, Ordeal of the Terraformidable Owls. You can only control one copy of this card. Once per turn, or it's a continuous trap card. Once per turn, you can declare a card type, monster, spell, or trap. Your opponent can only activate that card type a number of times equal to the amount of revealed Terraformidable monsters in your hand until the end of this turn. You must have 3 or more Terraformidable monsters revealed in hand to activate and resolve this effect. If an opponent's monster declares an attack, your opponent calls a card type, monster, spell, or trap, activate the top card of your deck, and if they call it wrong, return the attacking monster to the hand. Also, if the activated card is a Terraformidable monster, you can add it to your hand, and if you do, reveal it and keep it revealed until the end of the turn. Otherwise, shuffle it back into the deck.
Yeah, this is more or less a reference to Ordeal of the Traveler. I don't know what my head was thinking. It's like, I should add that, just in case, because owls are mischievous in some cultures. It's like, if you did something wrong and it comes by, that probably means you did something wrong. So.
Yeah, the spirits of the land are unhappy with you for messing with them, so they're going to give you the runaround.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's why I also have, like, the little cute restriction. But it also helps to, like, lessen the amount of reveal cards in your hand so you don't special summon too much if you want to make use of it.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Alrighty, and then it looks like lastly we have the Seasonal Shift of the Terraformidable, a normal trap card that targets any number of face-up Terraformidable monsters with different names you control, then target that same amount of Terraformidable monsters in your hand that are revealed with different names. All targets must have different names from each other. Return the first targets back to the hand, and if you do, special summon the second targets to your side of the field. Terraformidable monsters returned to the hand by this effect are revealed and remain revealed until the end of this turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so remember I mentioned about that hindrance effect about the what remains of the Terraformidable?
Mm-hmm.
So think of it like this. Let's say you have elephant and turtle on the field. One offers you target immunity and destruction immunity, but only in hand, but they're on the field. So let's say you have a revealed dragon and rhino in your hand. So when you activate this card, you bring the elephant and turtle back into your hand, and the dragon and rhino back to the field. And when your what remains will be pop and activate the pop effect of all your Terraformidable cards, you already have the turtle in your hand. So now your cards won't be destroyed.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's like a little tag in, tag out. But I restricted it so that all targets must have different names, so you can't just cheat with like 2 turtles and 2 dragons or something.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good idea too, just to keep things above board.
Mm-hmm.
It's also interesting that we're targeting cards in hand, which is something that nothing else has ever done. But we are revealing cards in this archetype, so it's a bit easier to have known information to actually target things with.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, these are some pretty nifty cards. Are there any interactions that we haven't touched on that you want to highlight for the audience?
I guess like a few things, like as we mentioned with transmigration, you could use this for like with egg to help you out with like whatever monster you want to bring out from the deck. But let's say I don't know, you use kaiju like sleep kaiju's like interrupted kaiju slumber, and you bring Gamma Seal or Godarla on your side of the field. You could either use Godarla Gamma Seal on your side of the field and use transmigration to make either Gameciel the turtle or Godarla one of the insects. So you could change that as well for that one. So it's just like a little cute combo.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Small World is also really great with this archetype because there's so many different like types and so many different attributes. The main starter usually would be the insects or the egg. So let's say if I use the egg, the only shared thing would be wind. So I use it for moth. And then the only shared thing would be a level 12. So I would just grab any level 12 like Terraformidable, like dragon, for example, and so on and so forth. Or another one would be like Rhino and Butterfly. They're both level 12s and have different stats. Then Butterfly gets Dragon since it's also level 12, but also has different stats. Yep.
All right.
And just that. Yep. Just pretty much little small stuff like that. But this archetype, as humongous in this gimmick as is, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, there definitely seems like there's a lot of like little tiny things you can do to like eke out some value or make some cool plays, but on the surface, it summon big thing that do big power and also maybe help out like a friend.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like I said, in the Discord later on, I'll add the Twitter about like where you can find this artwork. It's amazing.
Alrighty, well, if that's all we have for now, shall I begin the Nova scale?
Sure thing, Chief.
All right, so off the bat, I think I do have to give this a 5, like immediately off the top. There are several cards that reveal from hand, but not many that like use that. There's one. There's Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This archetype has taken this weird off-brand piece of spell and trap support. And has spun it off into its whole archetype that utilizes the reveal from hand thing as a benefit to essentially give it like its own special zone for, like I was saying, field spells or continuous spells or however you want to modify it. I think that's a really cool design space that hasn't been fully utilized for an archetype, so I got to give this a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Objectivity. So we have thankfully made it so we can't just make Zeus's with this archetype. Something that I can't say about all the customs we've talked about this time around.
Yeah, I know someone pointed to me a while ago. It's like, dude, you do realize this can make hard Zeus, right? Yeah, but I have the field spell that can restrict it. Yeah, but that doesn't apply to the monsters. Oh, I gotta revisit this whole archetype again.
Yeah, so thankfully, there's not a lot of extra deck shenanigans we can do with this, so the only thing that we have to focus on is the problem-solving card text, which I believe checks out. I'm not seeing anything egregious out here. Like I mentioned, the whole targeting cards in hand is something that we that isn't normally allowed, but we're in this weird area where you can reveal cards here, which might make it easier. We'll see if that ever changes in the future, but for now I can't really knock that. It's just an interesting way to explore mechanics that haven't fully been explored yet. So that half is good. The power level, I do think that some of these are still a little overtuned power level wise, especially Alte. I can imagine this card easily gets OTK out of nowhere just for revealing like 2 or 3 cards out of hand. I don't think that this is like format warpingly powerful, mind you, because your hand can only have so many cards in it at any given time. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I'm going to give this a 4 in objectivity.
That's fair.
Versatility. The extra deck lock by itself already causes a lot of restrictions with different archetypes, because I can name like on 2 hands the amount of archetypes that don't care about their extra deck, which gives us either the ability to play Pot of Extravagance with impunity because we're not going to use our extra deck anyway, which in turn will give us a bunch more cards in hand, or we play this in a deck like Monarchs, which not only are they going to appreciate having friends that deal a lot of damage, but these also act as kind of tribute fodder, which I think is pretty interesting. So it's not without its splash ability, it's just largely restricted. So I'm going to give this a 3. Mm-hmm. And awesomeness, folks, I'm sorry, I can't make a joke about it this time. It's giant. It's giant pieces of the earth that transform and become, or like are animal spirits. Their mechanic is really cool. Their flavor is really awesome. JCB did a really good job of like, I know you said you based it off of the art, but you came here and you told all of us like this story of ancient creatures who are slowly being left behind by the modern world, but still have this great connection to the land and lots of power. I think it's really great. It's getting a 5 from awesomeness for me, which means Terraformidables are coming in at a 17.
I think that might be the highest I've ever done from the previous ones, and that's only just because there were batches.
Well, then I guess congratulations on getting a 17 here. Do you have anything else you want to tell the audience, or any last words before we move on to our next set of cards?
Mom and Dad, if you're watching, I did it.
Thanks, Mr. and Mrs. JCB.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. It's an honor to talk to you and whatnot. It's like I said, it's weird. It was the first time because I was just nervous, but I've honestly felt home already. So,
hey, yeah, preparation definitely does a lot to help with the nerves. And I hope you enjoyed being on here. I know it's a little nerve wracking to be out here where there's not like a safety net of like the keyboard, but I've always found it to be a little liberating once we get past that section of the nervousness.
Yep. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Nova.
And thank you very much, Mr. Sir Knight, Mr. JCB, and have yourself a good one, okay?
Yep. And just to clarify, I'll just prefer Sir Knight. It's just preferred than just 3 letters.
Sounds good, Mr. Sir Knight.
Mm-hmm.
All right, take care. Alrighty. And I think that does it for our... Rex is here. Da-da-da-da. Rex is currently in the other VC. Do we want to go ahead and cover Rex's real quick? I think 3 letters is great to go by when those 3 letters are A, D, and A. Wait a sec, that's 2 letters. Alrighty, let me go ahead and check my list here. Oh, but Rex put down that they don't want to present. Okay, so they're good. We're good on this one. Unless you've changed your mind and you do want to present Rex, in which case you can totally do that. I can present if you want, since my planned attorney got canceled. Oh, dang. Okay. Well, then, yeah, definitely. Let's go ahead and we will, if it's okay with Zaldreco, we'll go ahead and cover theirs after break, and we can cover Rex Raptar right now, since they're good to go for presenting. My 3 letters of choice are A, C, D, but only if you repeat the C. A, C, D. Gosh. All right, let's get the archetype that the thumbnail is. I'm cool with it. Okay, cool. The archetype that the thumbnail came from. Babading, Babadooey. Here we go. All right, Rex. Why don't you come on down to Kansas, where I'm definitely at. Sorry, double checking some stuff. Bum bum bum. Okay, there we go. Hey! Oh no, they're not here yet. I thought they were here. They're not here yet. I mean, you're North Texas. That's basically Kansas. I need the roll. Oh, I never gave the roll. That definitely changes some things. Yeah, let me go ahead and grab that. Boom. Okay, it should be good.
Hello.
Hello there, hunter of monsters.
Indeed.
Alrighty. So, what was the thought process behind making the Monster Hunter archetype?
Well, there's two things. Well, for the first one is I've been playing a shit ton of Monster Hunter. And the second one is I gave out some free cards for some friends in a different server and designed them around the monsters.
Ooh, okay. All right, real quick, would you be able to boost your audio a little bit?
Give me 1 second. Does this work better?
Oh yeah, that sounds great. So any preface about the archetype before we get started?
If you've read the notes, I'm sure you'd be glad to share with the rest of them, but the big old spell on the bottom right is our key playmaker, and oh boy, we got some reading to do.
Oh boy. Okay, our big playmaker is monster. Should I call them monster hunters or just call them mohus?
Mohu is funnier.
Alright, it's time for Mohu Quest Hunt the Threat, a normal spell card that special summons a Mohu threat monster from your extra deck to an opponent's main monster zone or an attack position. That monster can't be used as material for a summon of a monster or be changed to defense position. If a monster is placed in the spell and trap zone while this card is in the graveyard, you can add this card to the hand. And from the notes, what generally happens with our extra deck monsters is that they go to the back row, and that's like being defeated, right?
That's correct.
Alrighty. So, let's get started with our main deck monsters here, just so that we know what our baseline is. Mohu Amateur Hunter is a level 3 Earth Warrior monster with 1500 attack and 1200 defense. If this card is summoned, equip a Mohu equip spell from your deck to this card. If this card would be destroyed, you can make it lose exactly 400 defense instead. You can only use the effect once per. You can only use the following effect once per turn. If a monster special summon from the extra deck is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you contribute this card to special summon a Warrior Mohu monster from your deck. Shoutouts to Mohu, Moye's cousin. Oh my gosh. Alrighty. Next up is Mohu Hunter Bludgeon Expert, a level 4 Earth Warrior monster with 800 attack and 1600 defense. If this card is summoned, equip one Mohu equip spell from your deck to your to this card. If it would be destroyed, it loses exactly 400. If a monster special summon from the extra deck is on the field, you special summon this card from your hand. And you can pay 600 life points to add a Mohu spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Okay. Next up is Mohu Hunter Giant Weapon Expert. It has the same special summon, defense as hit points ability, and the special summon from hand effect. I believe it does, anyway.
The Monster Hunter experts all have the same effects.
Oh, they do all have the same effects. Okay. Alrighty. So, now what is the reasoning behind having multiple monsters with the same effect?
There's multiple reasons behind it. The first reason as such is each monster hunter in the actual games prefers a different weapon. Therefore, all the experts have a different weapon of which they are compatible with, as shown by the equip spells needing that specific monster for one of their effects.
Oh, okay. Alrighty, then we got a little Palico, Mohu Palico, Perfection. Level 1 Earth Beast monster with 500 attack and 800 defense. If this card would be destroyed, you can make it lose exactly 400 defense instead. If a monster special summon from the extra deck is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. And you can pay 600 life points to add up to 2 Mohu spell or trap cards with different names from your deck to your hand. Well, that's very cost efficient. That's double the amount you get from the experts.
Well, Palicos are a support role.
And they do a fine job of it. Folks, where's my little Palico? He's not around right now. I'll have to give him a treat later.
Moby the Mohu Palico.
Yeah! He gets annoyed because I keep playing Charge Blade, and he's like, "You're not getting the vials correctly, you dingus!" Alright, now we have Mohu Giant Sword equip spell. The equip monster gains 300 attack. If this card is sent to the graveyard, shuffle it into the deck. You can target one monster on your opponent's field. That monster and adjacent monsters lose 400 attack and defense. And during the battle phase, if this card is equipped to Mohu Hunter Giant Weapon Expert, quick effect, you can destroy one special summoned monster your opponent controls. Incredible. Now, I haven't read through all of these extra deck monsters. Do they also have the protection effect, or will this just automatically destroy them?
Every single monster has a protection effect.
Okay.
Everything but the links share the losing defense clause.
Got it. All right, next we have Great Bow. Also gains 300 attack for the equipped monster. Is also shuffled into the deck if sent to the graveyard. If you can target a spell or trap card or face-up monster your opponent controls and destroy it if it's a spell or trap card, or if it's a monster, it loses 400 defense. And during the battle phase, if this card is equipped to Mohu Hunter Sharpshooting Expert, as a quick effect, you can destroy one special summoned monster your opponent controls. Okay. Oh, and that is also a shared effect among all of them if they're on the correct monster. And Punishing Hammer also gains an attack boost, also gets shuffled into the deck if sent to the graveyard. Once per turn, you can only use the following effect once per turn. You can destroy one monster on the opponent's field. All right. They smashing. All right, next up, it looks like we have our item cards. Mohu Life Powder is a quick play spell card. Mohu monsters you control gain 800 defense and cannot be sent to the graveyard by being destroyed. Cannot be sent to the graveyard by being destroyed for the rest of the turn. Huh. That's interesting. Can you run me through how that would work? Like, if... So they just can't be destroyed at all, or is there some other mechanic involving that?
So they can be destroyed, which is key for this deck because then they still lose defense. However, if they would be sent to the graveyard by being destroyed, they can't, and as such remain on the field.
Oh, okay, so their whole, the thing that lowers their defense stat will still trigger no matter what, but then destroying them just causes them to stay on the field.
Correct.
Interesting, okay. Mohu Flare Signal, normal spell card, adds a warrior Mohu monster from your deck or grave to your hand. You'll love to see it. Mohu Pitfall is a normal trap card. Target a monster on the field. That monster can't attack or activate its effects for the rest of the turn. If you targeted a fusion, synchro, or exceeds monster with 1200 or less defense, you can put it in the spell and trap zone as a continuous spell instead. And if you do, you gain 2,000 life points. You cannot activate this card if you control a non-Mohu monster. So I assume this is meant to emulate the preferred method of defeating a monster, where you trap them instead of outright, beating them up.
That's personal preference. I like beating them up, but, catching them's fun. Good materials.
Alrighty, next we have, what is this section for? I see Thieving Malinks and Fortified Walls. Are these supposed to be like enemy traps?
Those are continuous traps, and I'm looking in the chat right now. They're asking what Macrocosmos happens. Is if Life Signal is used during the turn, they would get banished since they're not going to be sent to the graveyard. Again, they're still destroyed, just not sent to the graveyard.
Got it. Let's answer this. Okay. So there is Mohu Fortified Walls, a continuous trap card. Monsters cannot attack directly, and during the opponent's end phase, destroy all continuous traps you control. If this card is sent to the graveyard, shuffle it into the deck instead. And Mohu Thieving Malinks is a continuous trap card. During the main phase, banish one random card in your opponent's hand face down until the end phase. You cannot use this effect if you control a non-Mohu monster. You can only use this effect once per turn, and then during the opponent's end phase, destroy all continuous trap cards you control, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, shuffle it into the deck. So it's just like a swords of a light force sword temporarily?
Temporarily, indeed. The continuous traps are meant to emulate not the fields where you can fight, but surrounding things in those fields.
All right.
The
Okay.
fortified walls protect the villages. The melees are little bastards are in the combat zone.
That's so true. All right, and our last main deck monster is Mohu Quest. Oh, we already talked about Hunt the Threat, so we've already covered all our main deck cards. Now we got to talk about the big bastards. Mohu Threat Devilho is a rank 7 Dark Dinosaur Xyz monster with 3200 attack and 2800 defense that cannot be Xyz summoned. Must be special summoned with Mohu Quest, Hunt the Threat. During the battle phase, as a quick effect, destroy up to 2 monsters your opponent controls, and if you do, you can attach up to 3 cards in either grave to this card. You can detach 6 material from this card. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls this turn up to twice each turn. Oh, if this card would be destroyed, it loses exactly 400 defense instead. If this card would be destroyed while it has less than 400 defense, place this card in the spell and trap zone as a continuous spell instead, and if you do, your opponent gains 2,000 life. That seems very deadly. So also very flavorful.
Once he finally destroys those pesky hunters, he goes nom nom and then obliterates all.
Yo, he's got that lightning breath coming out of his mouth. Brrr, brrr. He's angry. All right, next up is Mohu Threat Gear Rex. Level 8 Beast Fusion monster with 3200 attack and defense. Cannot be fusion summoned. Must be special summoned with Mohu Quest Hunt the Threat. During the battle phase, as a quick effect, destroy 1 monster your opponent controls, and if you do, you can draw a card. You can only use this effect once per turn. If this card would be destroyed, and then our monster effects, if we destroyed it, it has loses 400 defense instead of being destroyed. If it would be destroyed, well, it has 0. Put in the back row. Opponent gains 2,000 life. Next is Uragon Mohu Threat, level 4 fire synchro monster with 2400 attack, 3600 defense. Cannot be synchro summoned, must be special summoned with Mohu Quest Hunt the Threat. During the battle phase, destroy all other monsters in this card's column, then move this card to an adjacent main monster zone. Yeah, that seems on point for Uragon. He's spinning!
Gotta love the roly-poly.
Oh my gosh, I don't have to, actually. Screw him and his giant chin. Alright, next up is our Link monsters. Mohu Bountiful Guild, a Link 3 machine monster with 0 attack, requiring 2 or more Mohu monsters as material. This card cannot be removed from the field by card effect or targeted for attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking directly. If this card is Link summoned, you can target up to 3 Mohu monsters in your graveyard and special summon them. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can place a Mohu continuous spell or trap card from your hand or deck face up on your field. Okay, so that makes it a bit easier to use things like Fortified Wall and Malinks, so you're not just like waiting a turn for it. That's pretty good. Mohu Guild Subsidiary is a Link 1 Earth Machine Link monster with 0 attack, requiring a non-Link Mohu monster as material. This card cannot be removed from the field by card effect or targeted for attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking directly. If this card is Link summoned, you can target a Mohu monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can place a Mohu continuous spell or trap card from your deck face up on your... Oh, so we can do this twice if we get both of them. Nifty. Mohu Trevarian Blacksmith is a Link 1 Rock Earth monster, requiring a non-Link Mohu monster as material. Its link point is to the east. This card cannot be removed from the field by card effect or targeted for attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking directly. All non-Link monsters you control gain 400 attack and defense for each monster card in the spell and trap zone. Okay. Mohu monsters you control gain the following effects based on the types of monster cards in either spell or trap zone. Fusion. This card cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. Synchro. This card cannot be banished by your opponent's card effects. And Xyz. This card cannot be negated by your opponent's card effects. That's really cool. So it's like... So it literally gives you armor pieces whenever you defeat your opponent's Mohu monsters your opponent controls. That's really cool. All right, and then our last card is Mohu Wyverian Merchant, a Link 1 Dragon Earth monster with 0 attack. It has a west-pointing arrow. All right, here we go. Here's my little Palico. 1 second, folks. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Mwah. I got whiskers in my ear. What's up? Okay, now what's up? There you go. Okay. So, Wyverian Merchant has our usual Link monster effects. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can pay 600 life points. Your opponent chooses up to 5, minimum 3 spell and trap cards in either graveyard. Add one of those cards to your hand, and if you do, shuffle the other spell and traps into the deck or banish them face down, if they were in the opponent's graveyard. You can only use the effect of Mohu Wyverian Merchant once per turn. I think something might be going over my head on here. Could you walk me through what we use Wyverian Merchant for?
So the merchant in game sells you useful items, sometimes potions, sometimes pitfall traps. Hence, in this version, he helps you get your consumable items back. The pitfalls, the flare signals, the life powder. However, I gave him a little spice, and he can get away resources from the opponent too. Because that's always funny. Just steal your opponent's imperm.
It's mine now, fool. Wow, alright. So, that's a pretty robust cycle of cards. Are there any interactions or anything that we haven't covered on that we want to talk with the audience about before we move on to the Nova scale?
I have play tested this deck quite a bit, and I have found the most powerful cards being Malinx and Pitfall are quite dangerous, because you can just splash them in. So, to counteract that, and while staying in the lore, you can only control Mohus, because if there's a kaiju on your field, that means the monsters invaded the village. You can't fight them and capture them. You gotta kill them. It's on site, folks.
Sorry, we gotta keep the Palicos safe. I don't know what to tell you. Alrighty. Well, unless there's anything else, I'll go ahead and start doling out my scores.
Show me those 5s.
Boom, boom, boom. Wait a sec now. I can't just let you tell me what to do. Okay, so novelty. Now I mentioned kaijus here. A, because you just did, and B, there is technically an archetype out there that gives your opponent monsters, but in those scenarios, you're essentially transforming their monster into a vanilla. This one is giving your opponent an actual real threat that you're going to have to contend with alongside whatever their actual deck does. They're very powerful, but the idea of giving your opponent a boss monster to defeat is like the inverse of Generator, where you make bosses for your opponent to defeat. So I think for novelty's sake, especially with how we're using defense as life points, or hit points technically, I think I do have to give this a 5 in novelty. I don't think I've seen anything quite like this Monster Hunter archetype. Objectivity. Also very high. I think life powder is a weird intersection of, we don't have a card that exists that just says, hey, if it's destroyed, it's not going to the graveyard. I don't know exactly how that would all suss out in like an actual event. But outside of that, I think all of our card text is good. We made sure to say exactly 400 to make sure that you don't get to like go to 0 defense and just lose 400 defense over and over again to keep yourself safe. I think the Monster Hunter Guild Link monsters, all of those having the what is it? The Sunvine Link effect was used well to make sure that you have monsters on board that aren't getting in the way of attacks but can't be hit. And while it's got some nifty stuff going on, you are giving your opponent some very powerful cards in exchange for it, so I think objectivity has to be like a 5 here.
My specialty comes out once again. Problem-solving card text is my passion. Konami, take notes, please.
Konami, hire this person, please, please. All right, so versatility. Now this one, we do specifically have a lot of cards that say you can't control any non-Mohu monsters to use these effects. So it does limit the kinds of things we can do with it, not just in our main deck, but also our extra deck as well. I'm not sure if there's any other incidental synergies out of all of these. Of course, the Warriors work with any Earth Warrior support, so if you wanted to risk the wrath of missing your conditions, you could play War Rocks in here, but that does mean you're playing non-Monster Hunter monsters. Even though War Rocks should be considered honorary Monster Hunters, we'll have to take that up with the courts. So I think this has to be a 1 in versatility. Unless I'm missing something, I don't think you can splash this with anything.
I mean, you can definitely splash it. Just good luck getting Pitfall off.
We can't do Pitfall. We can't do Thieving Malinx. I guess technically a lot of these other ones don't care about having non-Mohus.
If you're worried about splashability, and the only reason you don't want to do it is because you can't have a hand rip for 1, and the worst kind of imperm, you're kind of lame. Splash does valence in there, buddy.
But baby, let's go! Get those bastard cats in there! Okay, we'll do it too. We'll do 2 on versatility. How's that? And then awesomeness, it's Monster Hunter, baby. I love Monster Hunter. It's really cool. You get to serve up your opponent a monster, and then you just beat the tar out of it until you get to get its parts. I love it. I like how not just the monsters were realized in game mechanics, but also things like the shops back home were realized as actual cards. I think that was really cool, so I gotta give it a 5. This is a 17 on the Nova scale, folks.
We love hunting monsters.
Shadow Wizard Hunter Gang. We love hunting monsters. All right. Thank you very much for showing these off. Anything else you'd like to tell the audience before I move on to our next guest?
Whoever can guess the underlining theme before all the arts used to separate the ideals of cards, they can get 1 internet cookie. Good luck.
All right, you can post your answers to that in the Golden Nova Discord in the custom section. Figure out JCB's theming for why they used these monsters in particular. Number 3 might surprise you. Anyway, thank you so much. Have yourself a good one, okay?
Adios, fellas, and keep the hunting going.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and get the list here. Okay, that was Rex. Okay, this is my prescribed break time. We have been streaming for, what is it now? How long have we been streaming here? Gosh, 2 hours, 12 minutes. I need to start being way more... I gotta start figuring out how to get these timing stuff done, because that was only supposed to be... That was 4 people. Woo. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take my prescribed break right now. I'm going to go ahead and throw up an ad while I go get some water. And then we're going to come back here and we're going to enjoy some more custom cards. We have 3 more archetypes to present here. So I'll be back here. I'll be back in like 5-10 minutes or so. And I will catch all of you in just a bit, okay? Ba-ba-ba-bum. All right. We should be back. Da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. All right. Let's take a look at Zaldreka's cards here today. Zaldreka. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Be big chilling be big. That's not this one. It's this one. Alrighty, so Zaldreka. This time I have a bunch of disparate one of and two of cards that are archetypal support. Some of these are newer creations of mine, while others are years old with a few touch-ups I did. Since most of them are unconnected to the others, it's ordered alphabetically. Ooh. Wolve676, thank you for... I guess they subscribe to the Twitch, so good for them. I gotta get the other one set up, so let's go back to the YouTube one. Alright, next up is Blue Eyes Inverted White Dragon, a standard monster. Level 8 Dark Dragon effect monster with 2500 attack and 3000 defense. This card's name becomes Blue Eyes White Dragon while in the hand, field, deck, or graveyard. You can special summon this card from your hand in defense position by discarding a light dragon monster or one card that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon in its name. If this card is special summoned by its own effect, you can draw a card. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can activate one or both of the following effects. You can add a Chaos Form or a Ritual Art card from your deck to your hand, and or add a Blue Eyes Ritual monster from your deck to your hand. Wow, that seems like you just get to make Chaos Max Dragon. Holy cow. So I assume by standard they mean an effect monster. Cerulean Eyes Pearl Dragon is a Link 1 monster, Link 1 Dark Dragon monster, requiring either a Blue Eyes White Dragon or a Blue Eyes Chaos monster as material. Main deck, okay, cool. It has 3000 attack, can't be used as Link material except for Blue Eyes monsters. If this card is Link summoned, you can special summon one Blue Eyes monster with a different attribute from this card that was used as Link material for this card from your deck, hand, or graveyard to a zone this card points to. However, you can only summon Blue Eyes monsters or monsters that mention Blue Eyes White Dragon for the rest of the turn after you activate this effect. While this card points to a Blue Eyes monster or a monster that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon, your opponent cannot target cards you control for card of just any card. Incredible. Alright, next up is Dragon Maid Manor, field spell. While this card is on the field, you can activate any Dragon Maid monster effect that would involve discarding itself from the hand as a quick effect. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect or the activation of those effects. Okay. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is activated, you can place a Dragon Maid continuous spell or trap card from your deck or graveyard in your spell and trap zone phase up. If you use the above effect this turn, you can add a level 4 or lower Dragon Maid monster from your deck or grave to your hand, Moby. I worry every time he steps around the desktop because he might press the power button and then it's not going to be a fun time for anyone. There we go. Okay. Turns Lorepar into actual interruption. It's about darn time. Okay, if this card effect was used this turn, you can add a level 4 or lower Dragon Maid monster from your deck or grave to your hand. You cannot special summon monsters from your hand and grave, except Dragon Maid monsters the turn you activate this effect. During your main phase, you can activate one of the two following effects. You can only activate one of these effects each turn. You can add one level 5 or higher Dragon Maid monster from your deck or grave to your hand, or special summon a level 4 or lower Dragon Maid monster from your hand or grave. If this card would leave the field because of an opponent's card or effect, or if a Dragon Maid monster you control would return to the hand, you can return this card to the hand instead. Dragon Maid Preparations, as a spell card, you can only use one each of Preparations effects per turn, only once per turn. Either add any level 2 or 3 Dragon Maid monster from your deck to your hand. Then if you have no other monsters with the same attribute as that card on your field or in your graveyard, you can add a level 7 or 8 Dragon monster with the same attribute from your deck to your hand. During your main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card alongside any dragon monster to add a dragon-made spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Okay. So our Blue Eyes, I think I skipped over the Blue Eyes stuff. Our Blue Eyes stuff here is very much, it's good for Blue Eyes in general, but I can very clearly see there's a lot of stuff going on here to help enable Chaos Max Dragon for the super damage and summon it super easy. The Dragon Maid stuff here, Manor is just, see, it's funny to say, like, I can't just say this is just a custom card, because clearly these are all custom cards. That's the whole point. The field spell just does everything, and finally gives us a field spell that we've needed, because, you know, Dragon Maids need a field spell. The fact they don't have one already is wild. Helps search us cards, gets them onto the field. Absolutely bonkers. And then preparation is like, hey, do you want to just grab every piece of the puzzle you need? Go ahead. Here you go. Elemental Hero Winged Kurigai is a level 1 Dark Warrior effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. This card is always treated as a Neo-Spacian monster. You can only activate each effect of Winged Kurigai once per turn. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except hero monsters the turn you use any of Winged Kurigai's effect. Discard this card or send this card from the field to the graveyard and reveal an Elemental Hero Fusion monster from your extra deck with 2 or more named material. Special summon up to 2 of those named material from your deck, grave, or is banished. If you would special summon 2 monsters, at least one must be a normal monster. Immediately after this effect resolves, special summon the revealed fusion monster by using material on your field as fusion material or by following the described summoning conditions of the revealed card. This is treated as a fusion summon. If this card is in your graveyard, an Elemental Hero Fusion monster you control would be destroyed or banished as a quick effect. You can banish this card to shuffle that monster into the extra deck, then draw 1 card. If that monster had an effect that would activate if it was shuffled into the extra deck by its own effect, you can activate that effect in response to this effect. During the standby phase, if this card is in the graveyard or is banished and an Elemental Hero Fusion monster you control was returned to the hand or shuffled into the extra deck by a card effect last turn, you can special summon 1 Elemental Hero Fusion monster that lists Elemental Hero Neos and exactly 1 Neo-Spacian monster as named material from your extra deck, ignoring summoning conditions. Wow! Once again, this card just does everything. Like, okay, so I gotta walk through this again. So the first effect is essentially discard this card, summon out the material to make one of your contact fusions, and then immediately just make it. The second effect effectively dodges the card out of the way and then applies what its effect would be. So if you have, like, what is it, Cosmic, it'll just blow up the entire board. And then the last, I need to reread this one. During the standby phase, if this card's in your graveyard or is banished, and an E-Hero Fusion you control was returned to the hand or shuffled into the extra deck by a card effect, special summon an E-Hero Fusion monster that lists Neos and exactly 1 as material. Oh, and then you just get one of your 2 material Neo. Amazing. Or any of the E-Hero normal fusions. Good grief, this card is powerful. Good gravy malavy. Alright, Fortune Lady Unbound Earthbreaker, Synchro Monster, level 5 Earth Spellcaster Synchro Monster with 3,000 attack and defense, requiring a tuner monster and 1 or more non-tuner monsters, including a Fortune Lady monster. You can also special summon this card from your extra deck or graveyard by attributing 2 Fortune Lady monsters you control with a level difference between 3 and 7. This is treated as a Synchro Summon. We can Synchro Summon out of the grave, folks. Ghost of Facilitated Jaden deck. Well, you did it, because that card's going brazy. This card cannot be tributed and is unaffected by the effects of field spells, so it will not be banished by any of your own effects. If this card is Synchro Summoned, banish all field spells on the field face down. Deal 1,500 points of damage to your opponent for each card banished by this effect. While this card is on the field, decrease the attack and defense of your opponent's monster equal to this card's level times 200, which is base 5, so it's going to be base 1,000. Removed from their stat lines. Your opponent can only target this card for battle and card effects, and neither player can activate or set field spells. Once per turn, during each standby phase, activate one of the following effects. Either increase this card's level by 1, thus increasing the debuff, or increase the level of every Fortune Lady monster you control by 1. Huh. Would that include itself? So you could just pick every Fortune Lady. Like, It seems incorrect to never pick this one. Unless I'm missing something. During each end phase, you can special summon one Fortune Lady monster from your hand or graveyard with a different attribute from all monsters you control. Okay, so you just get another free Fortune Lady. And if this card would have its effects negated, have control of this card change. Oh, if this card would have its effects negated, have control of this card change, or be removed from the field by a card effect, you can decrease this card's level by 1 to make this card not affected by that effect. Woof! Yeah, that's really powerful. Holy cow. But the thing is, though, is that I can't call it splashable because, like, you need Fortune Ladies as the non-tuner, which, like, are you gonna play play Fortune Ladies in your deck just to gain access to this? It is pretty strong, though. Its ability to lock out field spells and then burn by getting them off the field is pretty sick. This card is really cool. Mechlord Astro Enter Mechlord Astro Enter Dragon is a level 12 Dark Machine effect monster with 0 attack and defense. Banish 6 Synchro monsters on either field or graveyard, or that are in your extra deck to special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. If you banished Stardust Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend, Black Rose Dragon, Ancient Fairy Dragon, Black Winged Dragon, and or Power Tool Dragon with its last effect, you can look at your opponent's extra deck and then activate one of the following effects. Banish up to 3 Synchro monsters from your opponent's extra deck. Banish 1 monster from your... Banish 3 Synchro monsters or 1 monster from your opponent's extra deck. Okay, that makes sense. It's and or, too, so you don't have to use all of them. You can just use one of them and get that whole effect. If this card... The effects of cards banished by this card and cards that have the same original name as cards banished by this card are negated until the end of your next turn. This card gains 500 attack and defense for every card currently banished by the effect of Mechlord Astro Enter Dragon. If the Crimson Dragon is currently banished, this card can attack directly. While a Synchro monster is on either field, this card is unaffected by other card effects. You can only use each effect of Enter Dragon once per turn. Ugh. Oh gosh. Honestly, the hardest thing, though, is getting 6 Synchro monsters into rotation. Maybe you shred your own extra deck and you include the Crimson Dragon just to make sure that those effects are online. I think that's not as difficult as I made it out to be in just a second. You play like Dogmatica or something. Nekroz Abyss, Ritual Spell card. This card can be used to ritual summon any Nekroz Ritual monster. You can only use each effect once per turn. You cannot special summon from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect. Send a monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, then ritual summon a Nekroz Ritual monster from your hand or deck whose level is less than the level of that monster. If this card is in the graveyard except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card to add a Nekroz of White Knight from your deck or grave to your hand. And Nekroz of White Knight is a level 8 Light Warrior Ritual monster with 500 attack and 2000 defense. I'm starting to think this is a Dogmatica crossover. This card has repurposed the armor that became to give the game away for the... Okay, yeah, there we go. Glad I caught on with that. You can ritual summon this card with any Nekroz ritual spell. Must first be ritual summoned without using any level 8 monsters. Monsters special summoned from the extra deck. You can only target this card for attacks or effects and cannot destroy this card by battle or effect. Shuffle 1 monster into the deck that is in either graveyard or is banished that was sent there from the extra deck by a card effect. This card gains attack equal to the monster's attack or defense, whichever is higher. Neither player can activate or resolve the effects of monsters with the same original name as that monster until the end of your next turn. If this card is tributed, you can add any Nekroz ritual spell from your grave deck or that is banished to your hand. That's actually legitimately really good for the deck. It does combo with the whole Dogmatica thing of sending things directly from extra deck to graveyard. Synergizes really well with a lot of other stuff we have here. I think this is pretty good. There's a lot of words to say Golden Nova takes 1d4 psychic damage with this card's existence. That is true. There are also some things like that, like Enter Dragon. But that's not a bad thing. Sword Soul Successor Juquei is a Earth level 4 worm effect monster with 1300 attack and 2000 defense. Send a Sword Soul card from your deck to the graveyard or add a worm monster from your graveyard to your hand. You can special summon this card from your hand, then you can special summon a Sword Soul token to both your field and your opponent's field. While either or both of those tokens are in the monster zone, the player who summoned it cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except synchro monsters. You can banish a Sword Soul card in your graveyard, or add a banished worm monster to your hand. As a quick effect, increase or decrease the level of one worm monster you control by 1, 2, or 3. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except worm monsters the turn you activate this effect. Author's note, I always thought it was interesting that they wrote the Sword Soul token text in such a way that if you gave your opponent one, it would still only synchro lock you. Yeah, it's, they were very specific about that. Okay, well, it sets up your grave pretty well. Or it recovers your card as cost to special summon this card, which is pretty bonkers. It's a 4, and it makes a level 4 tuner token, so, you know, that's pretty good. Oh, wow, this is a name. Check this out. Worm Akashic Birthing Cesspools. Can I get that? Can I get that in grande size, please? Field spell. While you control any number of face-down defense position monsters, this card cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. All worm monsters, that's worm with an O, by the way. We are talking about our dual terminal friends here. All worm monsters you control gain 100 attack and defense for each differently named worm monster on your field and in the graveyard, and is banished. And guess what? There's a lot of them. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation or effect of worm flip monsters you control. If any number of face-down defense position monsters you control would be removed from the field, change those cards to face-up attack or face-down defense position instead. If this card is activated and during each standby phase you can reveal 3 differently named light flip monsters from your deck, your opponent randomly chooses one for you to special summon in face-down defense position. Place the remaining cards on the top or bottom of your deck in any order. Oh, sorry, face-up attack or face-up defense. I say face-down defense a lot next to face-up attack because they usually do that. My bad. That's pretty good, though. It's a funky replacement effect that gets them flippied up instead. If you only revealed worm monsters with a previous effect, you can draw 2 cards. You can only use this effect once per turn. Author's note, would you like to learn your worm ABCs? No, thank you. I will put them away now. Holy cow. Okay. Next up is ZS Onomatopoetic Sage. Rank 4 Light Xyz Warrior monster with 0 attack, 2500 defense, requiring 2 level 4 Light Warrior monsters as material. This card is always treated as a Utopia card. Once per turn, you can also Xyz summon ZS Onomatopoetic Sage by using a Zubaba, Gagaga, Dododo, or Dododo monster you control as material. Okay, so you just get to use any one of those. Detach a material from this card to special summon up to 2 of these monsters from the deck. You cannot special summon 2 with the same category. Banish this card from your grave. Special summon up to 5 cards. Shuffle up to 5 cards in your grave back into your deck. Then add an Onomat card from your deck or grave to your hand. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Xyz monsters the turn you use any effect of Onomatopoetic Sage. Love how much different stuff here there is here, but some of it feels overloaded, but could have been split between some cards. Probably. But that's not how they made it. Okay, woof. Okay, so I'm going to be real. This is like 5 different archetypes, and I don't think I can do a Nova scale for each one of them. These are some pretty outlandish cards, though. I think we can make a couple of generalizations on some of these. Novelty. They are all cards that are based on previous archetypes. I think that some of them do some funky stuff with them. Some of them don't. So I'm going to split the difference and say the novelty is like a 2. Objectivity. A lot of these cards are ridiculously powerful. Will they break the game? I don't know. But there is like chat was saying, some of these effects just do a whole bunch by themselves, which like multiplies the card's power level. So I think for objectivity, you have to give it a 3 on that one. Versatility. It's another one of those things where it's kind of dependent on the archetype. Some of these kind of... really, really lock you. Like, I believe the Fortune Lady stuff had a lock there. I believe the NRD Ragan can kind of work with your own synchro strategies, but like only insofar as you banishing your own cards out of your extra deck. The Necroz stuff works well with the Dogmatica stuff, but it's not super broad, so we're going to go ahead and give it a... We'll give it a 2 on that one as well. And Awesomeness, I like some of these cards. I don't like a lot. I don't like all of them. Insofar as, like, what gets me excited for stuff. Because a lot of them are very thematic. Things like the Wall-Winged Kurigai does a lot by itself. It also stays within the bounds of how the deck is supposed to work. It also just does it by cheating a bunch of the costs. I think we'll give it. I think we'll give it a 4. I think we'll give it a 4 on Awesomeness. I'm not super jazzed about some of these cards. I do think some of them are a bit too wordy, and they kind of like lose their momentum. But there are some kind of cool things, like we're bringing Worm support back. The way that the Necroz and Dogmatica stuff intertwine was really cool. So I'll just give it a 4 on that one. That gives us an 11 score on the Nova scale for this particular batch of cards. Zaldreka, thank you very much for sharing off. There were some pretty funky ideas in here. And I'll see you on the Discord, or I'll see you next month. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and move on to our next person. I believe it's Z-Man, but I forgot to check in with them about their cards. Let me send a message real quick. No, here we go. I think they just sent them in a little while ago. Here we go. Let's get these added in here real quick. Ba-dum-ba-dum. Bump. 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 Alrighty. Our Z-Man's cards. Next month will be something, but non-archetypal. Alrighty. Well, I look forward to seeing what you bring to the table. Alrighty. We've got Z-Man's, aka Iskander's. This time we'll focus on various members of the Port Punk crew and 3 pieces of support with some world building for things to come. So Iskander has previously talked about the Magic-Key and Sky Blaster archetypes, and I believe hinted at the Port Punks last time. So now we're going to be exploring this part of the lore. How much do we got on this one? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you say Magic-Key and Red Mage is like, oh. All right. So we have Miles, the Port Punk Pickpocket, the Port Punk Pickpocket. 1500 attack and defense, is a level 4 Wind Warrior. Bomber, the Port Punk Brute, is a level 4 Earth Warrior with 1800 attack and 2000 defense. And Eddie, the Port Punk Schemer, is a level 2 Fire Illusionist monster with 1000 attack and 500 defense. Lore for the normal monsters. These 3, along with Sinkino, were the founding members of the Port Punks, protecting Callum Docks from the small bands of gang members trying to take the docks. But Sinkino knows it can't be this way forever, so his ultimate goal is to bring Miles, Bomber, and Eddie into these Sky Blasters. Okay. Port Punk Pickpocket, Miles, Sinkino's best friend and right-hand man. He's also one of, if not the best pickpockets in Port Regalia. He's in charge of the crew until Sinkino gets back to pluck them out of the muck. Hey, Random Pup, how's it going? Bomber, the Port Punk Brute, the bruiser of the Port Punks, not very smart, but very loyal and a good listener. Though mind your walls whenever he's around, because he's gonna bust them. Thank you, Motorcycle. I appreciate you going down this street, too. Alrighty. Eddie, the Port Punk schemer, the brains of the Port Punks, his wit is matched by his ego and temper. If he loses his calm, his plans will backfire. Uh-oh. Alright, next up is Ellie, the Port Punk lass. Note, the newest member of the Port Punks, she's very much a fish out of water, with street life being very different than what she imagined. She eventually runs away from the group after an incident where Sinkino fights and fatally attacks an older aristocrat that was harassing her. This was before Sinkino joined the Sky Blasters and would go on to be a black mark for him ever since. Ellie's effect plus Regal's effect can lead to a lot of damage for an unprepared opponent. Also, that effect might come into effect later for the rest of the crew. Alright. Ellie. If there is a Port Punk monster on your side of the field except this card, you can special summon this card from your hand. While this card is in your hand, for every Port Punk monster on the field with different names, all Port Punk monsters gain 300 attack and defense. Well, this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard. It is treated as a normal monster as long as it stays in the graveyard. But if it's sent from anywhere else, it's an effect monster. Iskander, the reason he's an illusionist is because he's a con artist. I actually do like that idea for making him an illusionist. Obviously, because they're a normal monster, they don't have the usual illusionist effect. But I think the flavor of the card more than justifies the typing, which I think was really good. Alright. Port Regal is a field spell card. Monsters you control gain 400 attack and defense for every matching attribute or different attribute they have. This field spell cannot leave the field by a card effect. Lore. Port Regal, a well-known trade post and port town, but it does have its troubles. Pirates are but one issue. Note, there's a reason this card's effect seems rather generic. It's going to be a set piece for some future archetypes. For every matching attribute or different attribute they have. Oh, okay, I get it. So, I think I get it. So, if a monster has, like, if it's a fire monster, it gains 400 attack and defense for every other fire monster you have, but it also gains an extra 400 if it's also a water monster because of an effect, and then would then gain 400 for every water monster you control. That can get out of hand quickly. And so, how that works with Ellie, well, this card's in the field for every Port Punk, and then he has a 300 for different names. Okay, so yeah, that's a lot of power out of nowhere. Okay, Callum Docks, the Port Punk's home, is a continuous spell card. This card can only be played if Port Regalia is on the field. While this card is on the field, your opponent can't remove Port Punk monsters you control from the field by card effects under any situation. You can only use one of the below effects per turn and only once per turn. If you have a Port Punk monster, special summon a Port Punk monster from your hand. And during your draw phase, instead of drawing, add a Port Punk card to your hand. Note, this is the Port Punk's home. You're going to have to pry it from their cold, dead hands. Ye filthy dogs. Port Punk Flare. If you have a Port Punk monster on the field, this is a quick play spell. If you have a Port Punk monster on the field, special summon one Port Punk monster from your hand or deck. Neat. Just get more of them onto the board. One of 5 enchanted flare guns discovered by the Port Punks. Each shoots a different color and shape. Whenever one of them is in trouble, all they need to do is fire off their flare and the rest will come running. So here's the cards, but where do we go from here? Well, I have 2 archetypes for Port Regal, opposing gangs vying for control of the streets of Port Regal. One voodoo-themed that penalizes the opponent when they try to get their monsters on the board and their card effects off. The other is a beat-down control deck focused on disabling your opponent's abilities to counter and then crush the opponent with buffed attack stats. But we'll be talking about that in the future, I presume. Okay, let's go ahead and roll the Nova scale in here really quickly. It's only for either all monsters or the same attribute. It's only for either all monsters of the same attribute or if all monsters are different attribute. Oh, okay. Alrighty. So, novelty. So we have a deck here that focuses on getting a bunch of our normal monsters on board. This is meant to work with the Magic Key cards and thus the Sky Blaster cards we've talked about in previous episodes. And being able to summon a bunch of normal monsters for free can really help with that. Especially since they are also all a variety of archetypes. So while it's not explicitly Magic-y support, it is tied in with them in a way. Their stats are based on... They have a attribute matters sub-theme going on here, which is not very common in Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially when it comes to things like having a field of monsters with particular attributes. It exists, of course, but even something like Magic-y only cares about if they're in the graveyard or were used as material, not having an actual field presence, which is something that Port Regal does actually care about. So I think our novelty score here, the thing about it is that outside of that, there isn't much about the archetype that's kind of breaking the mold or anything. So I think it's a 3 on the novelty on this one. I think it's a 3. Objectivity. Are these cards formatted correctly? Is their power level in line? I think despite the attack boost you would get across Ellie and Port Regal, I think the deck's power level is pretty much in line. Or not. It's not breaking the ceiling of a particular format. So I think when it comes to that, it's fine. Our problem-solving card text, I think, can be tightened up a little bit. I think there was something like under any circumstance was used, which isn't a term. Under any situation, yeah, it's not really used. It's just you can just say your opponent can't remove those cards with by a card effect. Trying to think if there's anything else going on here that would be off. I think we give a 4 on objectivity. There's a little off about the problem-solving card text, but power level is fine, so I think that's good with that one. Versatility. Can this card be played in a lot of different decks? Well, we already talked about how this plays well with Magic-y insofar as giving you normal monsters to work with. The advantage of playing these normal monsters as opposed to the ones that already exist is that these are part of an archetype that could get other support that allows you to utilize them, as opposed to them just being bricks in your deck that you send to graveyard or summon to enable Maftia. That being said, a lot of these are specifically Port Punk effects. I think a 3 for versatility is warranted here. We can work with any like normal monster deck. We can work with Magic keys. Outside of that, it's just kind of around here. And awesomeness. Is this awesome? There are a bunch of kiddos around the docks. They're just kind of hanging out. The story-wise, there's a little bit of drama between Ellie and Sinkino. But so far that was introduced, we don't really have a lot of verve going on here. I can't wait to see the opposing gangs of Port Regal. I think that's going to spice things up a little bit. But combined with effects that are the boilerplate enable cards, get them onto the board, protect them, there's not a lot going on. So I think we'll give a 3 on awesomeness for this one. And then we'll keep an eye out for the future expansions of the Port Punks, and we'll see where they go from here. I think this gets a 13 on the Nova scale. 13. Thank you very much. Iskander for showing off your cards. AFD can search Port Regal, so from there getting a variety of attributes on board shouldn't be too hard. I'm thinking Merrymaker into Sargus Tally-Ho play could be spicy. Yeah, Red Mage is the resident Magic-y person. They'll know what to do with it in Magic-y, and if he says you can get a huge attack buff off of Port Regal, I believe him. All right. We got one more today. We got Captain Blitz. Captain Blitz has submitted 3 cards for consideration this fine day. First up, we have Dimension Wave Amplification, a normal trap card. It targets a fusion, synchro, and Xyz monster that you control. Equip each target with a monster from your graveyard with the same monster card type, fusion, synchro, or Xyz. The equipped monster gains attack equal to the original attack of the equipped monster. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a pendulum monster you control, and tribute a fusion, synchro, and Xyz monster you control. The targeted card gains attack equal to the total attack the attributed monsters had on the field. You can only use each effect once per duel. Oh, wow. That is a 5Ds card if I ever heard it. So, you have one each of fusion, synchro, or Xyz. Equip target with a monster from your graveyard with the same type. So you equip them with another of that, and then they gain their attack. Then you banish it, get a pendulum monster, tribute those 3 kinds of monsters, and then that monster you control gains attack equal to their combined attack they had on the field, which will of course be increased by the equips of the other monsters. Whew, golly. Whoa, wow, okay. If ever there was a for fun card printed, it would be Dimension Wave Amplification. Holy cows. Parallel Form Revival is a quick play spell card. When you special summon a monster, target a monster your opponent controls. Both players special summon up to 3 monsters from their graveyard to their field, ignoring any summoning conditions, with the same attack or defense as the targeted monster, but the effects of the cards with the same name as any of the summoned monsters. But the effects of cards with the same name as any of the summoned monsters are negated until the end phase. You can only activate 1 Parallel Form Revival per duel. So, this feels like a weird emulation of Inferno Reckless Summon. And it lets you get anything that has a matching attack or defense from the graveyard. Both players get to do it, but any that share the same name as the summoned as the summoned monster that you summon, not your opponent. Your opponent can do whatever, but your ones are negated, so you can't just summon a whole bunch of like the same monster and get their effects triggered over and over again. But if you can have different monsters, then you get a like Buku's value. Okay. And then lastly is Lunalight Dappled Leopard, a rank 4 Light Beast Warrior Xyz monster with 2500 attack and 1200 defense, requiring 2 or more level 4 Beast Warrior monsters as material. While this card has Xyz material, it can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. Neither player takes battle damage from battles involving this card, and if this face-up card would be destroyed, you can detach an Xyz material from this card instead. At the start of the battle phase, you can attach all Lunalight Pendulum monsters face-up in your extra deck to this card as material. At the end of the battle phase, destroy all monsters this card battled, then inflict 400 damage to your opponent for each card destroyed this way. Okay. Phase of card destroyed by... Oh, okay. So it getting back the Lunalight Pendulum monsters gets them into the graveyard by way of detaching them as Xyz material later, and refreshes Dappled Leopard's protection, which I guess that's pretty cool. And then it can attack all monsters once each, which is a very Lunalight thing to do. I think it's just anything you summon via the mass summon is negated. Special summon up to 3 monsters from their graveyard to their field, ignoring summoning conditions, with the same attack or defense as the targeted monster, but the effects of cards with the same name as any of the summoned monsters are negated until the end phase. Okay, you're right. You're so right about that, Zaldrago. You're so right. Holy cow, you're so right. But that means they don't get their effects either, so that's good. Panthera as a Lunalight card. Yeah, I guess Panthera by itself is just a Lunalight monster, huh? Okay, so we have a impossible to trigger but infinitely funny card to play. Parallel Form Revival is funky. I think we figured it out, Blitz, where any of the summoned monsters and monsters with their same name have their effects negated until the end phase, so that's alright. And then Dappled Leopard is just pretty good, and also recycles your Lunalight Pendulum monsters by having a way to put them in the graveyard. Does that about sound right? Does that about sound correct? Yep. Okay, cool. Okay, well, that's 3 cards. Very different cards. Let's, I think we're gonna have to Nova scale them really quickly. So we've got 3 cards here. We can do 3 cards really quickly. So, Dimension Wave Amplification. 5 on Novelty. The condition of summoning 3 different extra deck types, and then giving them 3 different extra deck equip cards, and then tributing them all to give a Pendulum monster an attack boost is absurd. Objectivity. Is this card too powerful? No, it's not. You will never trigger this, and if you do, good on you. That's a 5. Versatility. Will this card see play in every deck? Even just ignoring that this wouldn't see a lot of play in a lot of decks because of just how win more, do nothing this card actually is. From a practical standpoint, any deck that does not do Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz multiple times or doesn't have a way to do it effectively isn't going to run this. We will give it a 2 just because of that awesomeness. I mean, if you do pull it off, it's the funniest thing in the world. Dimension Wave Amplification gets a 17. Okay, let's go ahead and get this other one done here. Parallel Form Revival. Novelty. Is this card unique? Well, it summons a bunch of monsters. It has a funny little restriction on what monsters you can summon. It negates the effects of those monsters. I made reference to Inferno Reckless Summon earlier, so I wouldn't call it largely unique, but we don't get a lot of cards that do this, so I'm going to give it a 4. Objectivity. Is this card busted? I think this card is kind of busted. The effects of the cards, are only negated until the end phase. Because it's a quick effect, we have the opportunity to trigger this not at the end phase of the opponent's turn. Oh no, it's when you special summon a monster. So if you run a deck that can special summon special summon monsters freely, you can get things set up in a way where you get a whole bunch of value at the end of your opponent's turn, and your opponent gets very little. You can build your deck in a way that takes advantage of this. Your opponent might not necessarily be able to. It's once per duel, so you can't spam it. I'm going to give it a 4 in objectivity because I'm worried about the kinds of things you can get up to with Parallel Form Revival. Versatility. Can this see deck? I think that this card can see play in literally any deck. Unless you are a pure spell or trap card deck. And even if you are a deep draw Exodia deck, wouldn't it be funny to mill multiple like magical libraries and then summon all of them back during the end of your opponent's turn? Wouldn't that be funny? I'm giving it a 5. Awesomeness. Is this card awesome? No. It's not very awesome, actually. This card is rife for making the most unfun combos in the entire game. This card is not very awesome. I'm going to give it a 3. It can pull off some funny stuff, I'm sure, every once in a while. But for now, this is getting a 16 on the Nova scale. All right. Lastly, we've got Dappled Leopard. Novelty. So it's already a Lunalight monster, but it's a Lunalight Xyz monster. Now, Lunalights are already doing a whole bunch of rank 4 shenanigans anyway on their own. This just gives them an on-theme way to do it. But it does give you a way, but it does in its own weird way help enable your Pendulum game plan, which is not necessarily the main game plan for Lunalights. They love using them as a way to enable their cards, like using, they'll love to use Tiger anyway, because Tiger is Tiger, but using Wolf as a Miracle Fusion, but actually utilizing those cards doesn't crop up very often, so I think for Novelty we can give it a 4. For Objectivity, is this card balanced? I don't see any problem with its problem-solving card text, and I don't see a problem with its effect. While it can attack all monsters, neither player takes battle damage from battles involving this, so you can't just sweep your opponent with this. It will do a fair amount of damage, but the problem is that, well, I guess you could just go to battle phase, then end it, and then just have Dappled Leopard blast all of them with her ferocious kicks. but I still think that isn't like hugely impactful because it's at the end of the battle phase. So unless you just randomly kill your opponent with the damage, you don't have to worry about it. So I think we can give a 5 on objectivity. Versatility. This card could, I think, see play in any deck that uses Beast Warriors, because if we ignore most of these effects and just boil it down to can attack multiple times and can blast all of your opponent's monsters, it's a fairly good card just for Beast Warrior decks in general, so I would give this a 3. Awesomeness, is it awesome? It's a Lunalight card. It attacks a whole bunch. I love Lunalights. It's an Xyz monster for a fusion deck that involves pendulums. That's one of my favorite sentences of all times. I'm giving it a 5. This has got 17 on the 147 on the Nova scale, but the real score is a 17 on the Nova scale. Wow. Blitz. Thank you for showing off these cards. Blitz, do you have anything that you wanted to add in the comments, or did you want to come on the mic for a little bit to talk about anything about the cards? I had some notes about these when I DM'd you about them. Let me double check it. Captain Blitz. Okay. Okay. The spell and trap are meant to combo to summon a bunch of anime ace monsters at once and get very big. And that's why I got the 5 in awesomeness. The Xyz is what I like to call Selena's apology to Heartland City. Selena gets on camera with the ukulele. I won't be live because I'm going to a family trip around the town. Okay. Yeah, so the packing will probably get in the way of that one. Okay, well, shucks, that was really fun. Thank you for sharing that. And that about does it. That is our number 3 that we are here, and I need to start packing up so that I can go do some the Dungeons and the Dragons, and by that I mean doing Pathfinder with my folks and family and friends. Thank you all so much for stopping by and walking through here. Nomadic Chaos, Nova, how you doing? I am just about finished with my custom deck. I just have to finish up the lore section and extra deck. These synchros are a tough nut to crack. Okay, hey, well, good luck on that one. I can't wait to see him tomorrow. For those of you who have enjoyed today, thank you for stopping by. Please make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe so you can check out tomorrow, because we have one day more of custom cards. Swing by here at 6 p.m. Central, where we are covering the last of this month's patron customs. If you want to be a part of it, there is still time. The Sunday stream starts a little earlier than the usual Friday stream, though I guess this one was a bit of an exception. Well, the door is always open for more people to join in, so if you have some custom cards you want to talk about, make sure you join the Patreon. Joining at $5 or higher gets you access to the document that you can submit yourself for, and then you can send me those custom cards, and I will talk about it on stream. Whether or not you want to join in is your choice, and of course every pledge helps make my life a little more stable, because then my income comes from all of you, and not from YouTube's fickle AdSense that decides strange things whenever it wants to do stuff. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I believe Mistress Doom is still streaming. I've got it set up to send over to her. She is doing a Duelist Kingdom. If they're still streaming, I'm checking if they're still doing it. Yeah, they are still live. Okay, I'm going to send you over real quick. Go enjoy Mistress Doom's company. She's a really great VTuber. Organizes a ton of events. I love her work. She does great covers. All around super awesome person. Please stick around. Say hi when you go there, and I will see all of you next time. Bye-bye.